Paladins, of course, joining up with SteelSeries for this event. You can get 20% off any SteelSeries gear using the code Paladins20 right now. I personally am using one of the Arctis headsets right now, and it's great quality stuff. So if you've ever been in a position where you want to get one, code Paladins20. That'll get you 20% off. Make sure to jump in there and see what there is to offer. Something for everyone out there. But, of course, moving into the finals here, Pretty Hair joining me on the desk. We got Penta, we got Sour Team, and up to this point, we've had all matchups between teams that have, they're familiar with one another but didn't play at all throughout the split. Yeah. This is now in the finals, the only two teams who would have played each other this split. And as of recently, Penta's been getting the better of this matchup.
Most definitely. EU Minor League first seed versus EU Minor League second seed here. Penta and Sour Team. Sour Team, they're a squad that has played together a long time. Same storyline that we sort of told in their semifinal matchup. They won the week one matchup, and I think that was not surprising to us. What was surprising was then their dominance for the rest of the split from Penta Team. But this squad, I don't know. There's a lot of things that you want to talk about when it comes to Sour Team. The LAN experience, the PPL experience across the board. I have to say, given the way that they've played today, both teams, Penta are my favorites.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. And actually, I'm going to give myself a shout out. Maybe it's not that exciting or maybe not that hot of a take, but I was thinking that Penta and Sour Team would be the two final teams in this bracket, and here we are. I think a lot of people probably would have felt that way anyway, so shout-outs to all of us. But you're right, though, in that we maybe expected the Sanguine set to be just a little bit closer.
Not a 3-0, man.
And
Not a 3-0.
Sour Team were just firing on all cylinders. I mean, they have their hands full with Penta, and they did throughout the entire split. But if they're playing the way they are throughout these first few, I mean, maybe one of their first non-3-0 sets of this week.
Here's my true thought on this is that Sanguine are a better team than hype units. So yes, Penta handled business better than Sour Team in the semifinals, but you have to keep in mind the strength of that opponent. The fact that Sour Team was able to still 3-0, albeit those 4-3s, 4-2s against a stronger opponent, gives me a lot of faith in them today. But still, the fact remains that Penta was playing like a complete unit, and that is very scary. A better opponent will make plays on you. They will shatter some of that cohesiveness. It's just a matter of to what degree can Sour Team shatter what Penta have been putting together thus far in the tournament.
Well, let me ask you this. What have Penta been putting together? What do you have to identify? What do you have to do to beat these guys? Because they're seemingly unstoppable. I mean, they even raise some eyebrows. They're guaranteed to go into the finals bracket tomorrow. If they're playing the way they are, they could maybe even take a couple maps. How do you beat Penta?
So when I'm watching Penta, I'm seeing very clear, concise game plans. And that's one thing I highlighted in their interview, was that especially on Frog Isle, you could be like, well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to kill the hell out of Stigma. That, he does not exist in their eyes. Everybody's burning cooldowns to get to him. Sour Team was winning their games, but it wasn't always abundantly clear to me what exactly the means to that victory was. Right. They were getting a lot of those wins, but it was like, Ninu's going to go to the back, harass, maybe fly in, fly out. Ninu's rotations were probably the highlight of the semifinals for me. I got to see a little bit more out of Sheepa. I don't know if going to that 3 DPS, that performance in the semis, it's not going to cut it against Penta. It almost didn't cut it against Sanguine, man. If he doesn't step up, if they have to go to 3 DPS, Sheepa will need to play better. Obviously on his main role, which is off tank, he definitely played up to standard.
Or going into Warder's Gate. That's going to be map number 1 here for your play-in bracket finals. Whoever wins this one, both teams guaranteed to move on to the final bracket. If you win this matchup, if you win the finals here in the play-in bracket, you move on to play Na'Vi. If you lose this matchup, you move on to play NIP, which is something to look at as well. I mean, which is the lesser of two evils in this case. Both teams in the PPL, NIP and Na'Vi specifically, are playing at the top of their game, and that's something these teams have to look at as well. But we'll have, hopefully, more than 3 games before that gets determined. At least 3, maybe more if this is as contested as it might look on paper. First bands coming through, though. Cassie, Torvald, Atlas. That's been a difference that we saw from yesterday. Sort of a return to the frontline band, sort of that one flex band as well, but already taking their sweet time with this as Sour Team.
People might be thinking that Na'Vi are playing better right now. Maybe recency bias is at play there, but it still feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So I think you go for the win in this set nonetheless. A lot of the answer to Na'Vi or Nip, who do we want in the first round of the finals bracket more, that comes down to were NIP giving it their all in that set against Na'Vi. I think for the last 2 games in that set, the answer was no. For the first 2 games, I think it was. I think they were kind of going all out against Na'Vi. How much do NIP have up their sleeve for the finals? That is directly what would answer that question for me as to whether I would be facing Na'Vi in the first round or NIP in the first round.
I don't know, Nick. I'm excited, though. That's all coming up tomorrow. The PPL team's back in action. But first, we got to make it through this matchup. Barak Genos, a potent stack here from Sour Team. Barak's so good at controlling and forcing that front line, but you get a little Genos damage on the back end of it. Becomes very difficult to deal with it. On the opposite side, Khan, Tyra, Ruckus, a little damage amp of their own, and Ruckus's 10% pick rate, you saw that there. Only a tenth of the time he's coming through. What are your thoughts on him? Maybe why is he not as picked up as some other hybrid frontlines?
There's a lot that deals. You can see the Cassie ban. That's because they want Ruckus here. I think having damage amp to supplement and to allow Ruckus to do what he does better is really good for the character, obviously. Being able to dive onto somebody who's taking 25% more damage. When you're playing Ruckus, especially in the early game, you get in there, you bully people up, and hopefully you kill people quick enough to that they don't have enough damage left after your shield's expired, after you start to get low HP, to want to push back into you. Into 2 hit scan, though. Eevee and Maeve are picked up. Granted, they're both mid-range hit scans, but we have seen already today that with a hunting party mark applied, hell, I'm forgetting about Khan, 3 hit scan picks. With hunting party marks on these Eevees and these Maves, I think Penta already have enough to deal with both of them.
I think you're right. Here. That's always the question that arises. How do you deal with the Eevee? How do you deal with the Drogas? How do you deal with the Mave? Well, in this case, you pick 3 high damage hit scan champions and then pair a hunting party mark with it. Inara Maldamba is going to round out the Penta lineup, so I mean, you could argue triple front line. I guess technically it is. Khan, Ruckus a little bit more on the damage side, though. That's going to be so good for controlling this point here on Warder's Gate. What Sour Team answer back with maybe shifts things one way or the other. They already went triple DPS with Eevee, Maeve earlier today. I think they had the hunting. They had Tyra that time around, though, so I don't know if you go with that because as of right now, as this stands, Barak's going to have a hard time staying on that point with Khan, Ruckus, and Tyra up in this face.
So will it be the 3rd DPS? They could go for an Ashe 10th pick. Again, it's about what can you play.
It is.
And with the flexibility, again, we brought this up immediately at the start of this draft. Sheepa's going to have to play better on Eevee if he's going to cut the mustard against Penta. That performance we saw in Splitstone is not going to be enough here on Warder's Gate against Penta.
No, and he identified that himself as well. He knew that.
I was trying to glean that out of him. How did it feel to be playing that Eevee? Huh? How'd that go for you?
He was not. I mean, he wasn't unhappy. They ended up coming out with the win, but he definitely knew there was some stuff to change around, and if he's on the Eevee again, this is the time to do it. We're into the finals here. 0-0 on both sides. Game number 1 is Warder's Gate. But before we go there, send it down to Evan and Kresnik.
All right, well, we're seeing a little bit of Ruckus back on the board here for Penta, and it's something that Crunchy will feel comfortable with. Sour Team obviously comfortable against their opponents. Krez, what do you have as far as ideas for how this set's going to play out?
Penta's draft is really, really solid. I mean, on a map like this, it's hard to tell exactly how they're going to do it. I'm sure they're going to try to wrap or shove straight down the middle, but triple tank Tyra is really scary, because when you run triple tank, your weakness is low damage. Ruckus is probably one of the highest damaging tanks.
Yeah.
Tyra pretty much says everybody gets more damage, the Oprah of damage, if you will.
Exactly right there. You get some damage, you get some damage, and you get some damage. Ruckus, by himself, one of the more high DPS characters in general, just if he continues to be allowed to shoot at you. So positioning, huge. Burst, huge. Obviously tanky, and add that Tyra's mark. It's going to be threatening proposition for Purdo and Ninu and Sheepa to deal with, but they have the guns. It's experience versus experience, and Europe versus Europe. It seems like this is a battle that will be determined based on who can hit a few more headshots.
Really aggressive shot start down the right, but he has to run away. Simpsy actually dying coming through under, Accenture trying to sustain on point through the fire through Sheepa, but not having able to keep shooting with the reload there. Ooh, a little bit of overextension by the Mave, manages to just get out. She was still laying down damage down mid.
Oh my god.
Absolute, wow, an absolute collapse. They couldn't finish any of the targets. They couldn't finish the Mave. Mave could finish the Eevee, but they just couldn't get on anybody because of the damage coming in from the Vivian.
You could barely even finish your sentence. He finished everyone off that quickly.
Even
I mean, my goodness gracious. Chipa, slow down here. Start things off with a bang. 4 kills, triple kill indeed. 60% for Sour Team. And the turret still held up there on point. Simsaloo finds a big kill on Aninu. Don't traditionally see him on the con, but he's taken that roll up for his squad. Penta have to find a way back, and they've got Crunchy on the high ground, and that's really good positioning. Ignoring Sheepa earlier won't be something they do most likely in the second part of this fight.
Yeah, they're trying to go down to clean out the barrack, but he manages to get away thanks to the failsafe reset. Simsaloo still poking from under, trading a bit of damage with Perdo, but Perdo's going to get away. Mave, DR plus Genosmark, really hard to finish up. Polka's going to top them back off while the sustained fight keeps going on. They got the first pick, though, on the Tyra. That's most of the damage gone from their team. Bolka running away from the Midnight, trying to stay alive. Manages to. They really couldn't even chase him down. Excentra's still getting the cap time, but
Perdo low here.
Trading. Yeah, Perdo low. They can't do anything. It's just trades back and forth.
But now look at this. Jopi finding a little bit of an angle. Sour Team looking better. They took their time. They allowed the retake from Penta, and they backed off appropriately. Krutzy comes in with a last-ditch effort, but it's exactly what it is. Will not get them the results, and Sour Team will take point 1 off a pretty strong start. They've got to find a way to deal with the Vivian, though. She's on a 9th streak. She has not died yet.
Yeah, maybe once ults are online, they might be able to execute on her, but until then, I mean, she's just playing too far away. There's too much ground for them to cross, unless they go around maybe through the crystal.
Yeah, big Dread Serpent here as well. Ult's starting to get used and farmed up. Traditionally, we would see as the result of a team fight like that, as Jopi just decides to respawn with his team, more ultimates used in the course of the team fight to decide it, but a lot of that was just decided by positioning and decided by the early leads and back and forth play underneath that main point. What do you guys call that in the pro side?
Just under.
Just under?
Basho, I think, is what my team calls it.
Basho?
Basho. It's
Basho.
under
In Brazilian?
in
Portuguese? Sorry, that was a bit of a dare moment right there. I knew that.
I know you did.
I knew it wasn't called Brazilian.
I
Thanks,
believe
Matt.
you. Mixer chat.
Mixer chat may not, though.
May not believe
Maybe
you.
in Brazil or Portuguese. So Basho. All right. Well, in the Basho, we'll see if things can continue to happen for them. Perdo with a nice kill onto Crunchy. How do you feel it's all playing out here? Is everyone kind of just warming up to themselves?
I think Crunchy's got to play a little slower. He needs to go in quick, but he's going ahead of his team is the problem. He's taking a lot of poke. Like that first mid, he went in pretty quick, got forced back, and then once Accentra and Simsaloo pushed across the point, the Vivian wasn't really being contested from the other sides, and that's where the free fire and the picks came in for them.
That's such an important thing to try to keep under wraps. Obviously, Vivian, an incredible threat. So is Perdo. And yet he's been all over. Really hasn't found the perfect rhythm, but he's found enough to be able to provide a lot of meaningful poke damage. Simsaloo, he's been an interesting kind of talking point throughout this entire series and tournament. On the con, so-so thus far. Not made the hugest of impacts.
He's on triple tank, it's really more about like getting the confirms together. Like if you trade for a kill and you keep trading, eventually once it's down to only a few people, you're going to have the advantage because you have the bigger health buffs.
Yeah, that's right. Decent damage too as well. Hexafire about to be used. That might have taken the ultimate also, but it doesn't matter. Sour Team with a successful push. And it did indeed take the Hexafire cooldown. That is unfortunate for Penta as they're now trying to climb their way back from a 2-0 deficit.
Yeah, Gruncy, I don't know about that Hexafire. It definitely looked a little risky. It was kind of last second. If he had his emitter up, maybe it could have been really close. Looks like he's actually getting most of the confirmations for his team, but I mean, if he's dying in the process, if they're trading 2 for 1 in a triple tank lineup, that's just not what you want to be doing in this situation.
And there's so much mobility and there's a lot of ease because the Moldamba, obviously, the greater healing potential, but also a little bit more of the concentration and effort needed to find these tanks the healing that they need in the time that they need it. Jopi, given the Astral Mark and also the damage boost, it's just so plug and play that they don't really have to worry about it. And he can contribute some meaningful damage as well. Let's see how they trade things out here. Big overpower to start. That's going to do it. 1 down, 4 to go. They may just fully back off here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to. I mean, Zarini, they're their only tank down. If they keep chasing, then they're going to get some free picks. But it looks like they're going to back off, be smart. Probably poke out Ninu. Mark here means he can't really get away. His scan coming in barely cleanses the Mark with the ice block, but they're going to get the finish on him. There's no out there.
There is no out at all. The ice block only delaying the inevitable. Firebomb here on the point in the crossfire, trying to track Perdo. He's up in the air. He's going to come down and jump back up to his death, and now Sheepa can get rotated on a raise, trying to find some meaningful damage, knowing if he gets Zarini down, it's essentially a free point capture, and so that's what he's going to try to do, but gets tagged at the end. He'll lose his life, but Penta will get the point.
Yeah, Ray's getting a little bit forward, but it didn't really matter. Just making some room, getting some marks, maybe calling positioning to his team. Ended up working out. As long as he gets the mark before he dies, honestly, his job is done if the tanks can clean up with it. As long as they get at least one trade. Penta here, setting up, looking at how our team is going to be holding with this triple DPS lineup. This is going to be one of the harder things. They really have to find a pick before they can move in, because they can't just walk with triple DPS into the triple tank.
It seems like there's just a lot to consider for both teams, and they've done a little bit of their not only research, but I think research within this game to see how things worked. Round 1 playing out a lot differently than round 2. And that shows that Penta are not going to be given this one easily. In fact, our team are the ones that are going to have to take this and keep up the pace, because essentially they are the underdog in what most consider to be a very contested matchup. And Perdo, he's going to have a lot on his shoulders, a lot to prove. He's been here in many places before that members on Penta can only dream of being, but they're in the driver's seat for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I like how they're playing the the Sour team's playing the triple DPS comp. Kind of faltering here, but what you want to do is more kind of set up I want to call it a safe surround. So you want to be in safe angles, but you want every angle being watched on them. So you don't want to give them any cover while you maximize the amount of cover that you have. At least in this meta, I think that's how you play it. So with Perdo all the way in the back line, setting up the surround, running away from the fight, it's so hard for him to chase. He always has that pressure going on.
Whiff of the ultimate there, as they're a little safer than they would like to be. That through time and space not quite surrounding the enemies that Joby was looking for, but Ninu will do his best to at least stall, buy time. But the time cannot be bought. You cannot argue with that, as Penta answered back emphatically, tying things up 2-2 as we head into round 3.
I wish they'd waited a little bit more on that through time and space, I think. Comboing it with an Ice Storm is one of their safest confirms, and I think he kind of panicked it for the defense. Makes sense. I mean,
felt like
they weren't do under pressure.
It felt like they weren't sure whether they really wanted to defend there or commit resources, because you could just let it go.
Yeah, it seems like they're a little more pressured against these teams, right? Because Penta's ult usage was absolutely clinical, I think, in the last game.
Oh, yeah.
Against Hype Unit.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
Totally, because, I mean, you're looking at a team that's beat you many times before, so it's not something where you're saying, you know, we just take it easy, we're obviously going to win, we do our thing. It's almost, I think, although there's a lot of experience on the side of Sour Team, they know they have to step up their game to beat Penta here.
And I think I get why they spent the Hexafire on the defense, and they spent it there in that push too, because on this mid, you're so surrounded, you're not really going to get much out of it, right? So spending it there, I think, is the much safer pick.
Oh my god!
With jumping and accuracy and everything too, taking Perdo out. That's a lot of damage out. A trade only one way for the triple tank team is really good. Zarini has to Dome Shield to stay alive, but this is almost just a delay tactic at this point, unless the kills continue to go in Sour Team's way, but Zarini's getting pressured under by Simsi. Maybe a little bit of a reset here as things look to even out.
Wow, big battle shout as well just to stay alive. Simsaloo goes for the nutmeg essentially on Perdo, the slam dunk, so to speak, over the top and walks over the man. That overpower was hype, and Sour Team, they do not know what to do. Simsaloo on a 10 streak this con. The Primus of House Ico starting to take over. It looks like this is going to be point 3 going the way of Penta.
Yeah, you wouldn't think the late game comp would be the, what a fantastic Dread Serpent. I had to stop what I was saying. That was so good. The counterpoint Dread Serpent, so good against the triple DPS, because no one who touches is going to live.
Yeah.
Even a tank won't live in late game most of the time, but against triple DPS, there's no out. You're just done.
You need an Nara there. You need something special in that one moment just to try to avoid it. CC Immune and just be able to walk in and contest. But fortunately, the Inara's on the side of Penta, and they knew that. Cruncy with some killing blows. We mentioned he'd been keeping track of a lot of the close but not secured kills and making sure that he secured them for the squad. If we look at the KDAs here, he's at least at 6 at this point, and now actually 9 and 6. Kill leader by a mile. Nearly the kill leader in the game, aside from Perdo, who's 10 and 3 on that Maeve.
Yeah, and Maeve's finishing is really, really strong. There's the poke. Ooh, attempted combo actually up there. Does manage to get a raise with the Ice Storm from Space combo. Ninu living thanks to the Ice Block Rocket Barrage. won't continue going in now as the Sour team just continues their poke, which is pretty much all they can do in this situation.
Pretty amazing stuff here. And you can see Penta, unlike Sour team, where you could tell there's focus and there's confidence, but it's not a level of arrogance, right? What Simsy did was so risky as far as the cons. We mentioned it where the point tank, if you give him a con, maybe he'll be a little bit more consistent. Let me just overpower the Inara. Simsy takes maybe one of the more riskiest versions of an overpower, and he says, yeah.
He got his pink.
Exactly. And he sprays afterwards because he's like, that's the kind of player I am. That's what I do. And Hexafire here says, Crunchy, he's trying to just create some space, find a kill if he can. He does both. Almost.
Manages to get the reset out of the barrack, though, which is really big. That's most of his sustain, especially in this area, because you have to hold so forward.
He's chasing.
Right. Forced out the Dome Shield, too. This is good. The Crossfire did as well. Dread Serpent comes in, just delays the push. Doesn't actually manage to get any confirms. Crunchy's still trading here on the tunnel side, trying to stop the Eevee from getting behind us around.
Got Zarini. He's going to dunk him down into the water. That's one kill as well. Simsy, can he stay alive? I think he can. Oh, no, he went taken down just by Perdo. So we can see the impact that Maeve has had for Sour Team, but it looks like Jopi is getting chased down here. Accentra in the back line. Is he looking for the 1v2? He's got this easily. A full health Inara. She's going to run you down, and the shield is down as well. The barricade a day late and $1 short here. Accentra moving back now. He's going to get the Battle Shout healing from the con. This is looking pretty decent for Penta.
Yeah, that's one of the weaknesses of the triple DPS composition. You're not always watching everything. Accentra just walked in from the pit room. Nobody saw him. Gets 2 picks and gets away. The trades aren't as bad because the Sour team is defending, but it's still a huge disaster. Though they look like they're going to flip it now.
And Seismic Crash is ready. Ults could be users. 3 in sight. They know they're behind that rock, but Perdo and Sheepa find a few crucial kills. That will dissuade Accentra from using resources. He's going to battle just for contest, for credits, for damage, ult charge, and this is going to be a defense successful. We're going to 3-3 here on Warder's Gate between Penta and Sour.
Yeah, Sour team really found the hole there, I think. I mean, their tunnel, they had the hole from the pit, but they kind of abused the tunnel side there, got behind, got those picks. The healer couldn't focus Accentra as much anymore, had to focus on the side. Wasn't enough. Sour team, I think, had a really, really solid defense here. And this is going to be a very scary point fight for both teams. Honestly, more for Sour, because I think the triple tank composition does have an advantage on these middles.
And what is the go-to here? I mean, how do you, if you're Sour team and you're looking to, you've done well early, you did not have a great round there, you barely defend, what do you do here to really make sure that you can win this game?
Depends on how they use their ultimates, but it looks like they use the most influential ones on the defense. They don't have, they're close-ish to Midnight.
Space.
They only have through time and space, really, for a crazy execute, and he might honestly save it until Ninu gets his, just for the absolutely guaranteed confirm.
You could risk it here. We've seen players do that before. Jaraz, one of the best in history in Paladins, and a crucial game for first place in the Pro League, where he hit not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 members of, I believe it was to be Na'Vi at that time. Incredible moment there. Through time and space comes through, will not connect. Simsy, he finds the kill on the Perdo. Penta are with the man advantage, but Accentra is very low right now, but it doesn't matter because he finds a crucial kill on Aninu.
Yeah, Severi's pushing here on the side, trying to take on Sheepa. Doesn't live thanks to the DR, I think, from the shield, just wearing off at the last second. A lot of sustain coming through. They couldn't find any kills. Maeve just running away. I don't know if she'll be able to touch with the reset being used. They're going to have to rely a lot on Ninu getting a touch from the side.
They got to get fast.
I don't see him coming up front. Midnight used, but the Hexafire, he can actually pop that on the point. They don't notice Ninu. He didn't hear the blink. He might have gotten the OT touch. I actually don't know if he did.
He did.
Barely did, but now they have the Dread Serpent to stop the secondary touch. Does it a little too late. Manages to find the trade onto Ninu. Seismic Crash coming in, stunning Zarini. He can't get his reset, can't do anything, and this is going to be it for Penta.
Oh my goodness gracious, Penta. They're going to take game 1 here over Sour Team. It was a valiant effort from the Sour boys, but unfortunately will not get them the sweet victory they were looking for. Win game 1, that's correct. Penta are in a driver's seat position now, and Sour Team have to decide how they want to go at this, knowing they've lost a crucial momentum game here as well, having to battle back for the rest of the set, try to turn this tide. Krez, last thoughts here. I mean, great play overall from Penta to bounce back.
But it was a close map, though, and I think that was Penta's pick. So Sour Team's map could go even more in their way, honestly.
Well, it's now kind of do or die for Sour. They've got to close this next match. You cannot go down 2-0 against Penta. Let's send it back to the desk, see what they have to think about game 1.
Appreciate it, fellas. Game 1, that's the closest we've seen Penta pushed this entire weekend up to this point. A weekend of 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. 4-0, 4-0, 4-1 to end out their last set, but a 4-3 to start off this one on Warder's Gate. And that's, I think, what we expect out of this set is a very close matchup. Sour Team brought it, but just fell short at the end.
Yeah, that was You could see very almost razor thin on both sides. Eevee getting the touch at the last possible second. There's a lot to go back and forth on and to unpack that was good and bad from both sides, but you can already see the differences, specifically in Penta, how cohesive they were. But you have to pay attention against better opponents who are going to be putting more pressure on them and sort of splintering that cohesion. You can see the differences. Sour Team is putting a lot more pressure. I like this draft as well. I think it was pretty ballsy to bring out, in such force, given how 3DPS didn't go that well for them in the semifinals. But Penta respond in kind with a triple tank. And I just kind of love to see these big sweeping moves and counter moves in the draft.
And you have to look at Zarini as well. I mentioned that, he's going to be the only one going up against a triple frontline with some damage amp on the side of Penta. 3 and 10. Got bullied out a little bit, had a good amount of damage. Sour Team had 4 of the top damage numbers in this one. Penta on the opposite side, though, they find the win. Here's a team fight.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what happens.
Let's take this one nice and slow here, about half speed or so. This is the initial point fight. We were really worried about these hunters, Mark, but as you can see, that was not the best game from Arrays. He's there to be more of a role player, though, so you can see him really sitting in the back here, kind of content just to stay still. First blood comes through for the triple DPS. That's where things start to get scary. Look at how everybody reacts from Penta. You could see K Cruncy, he's kind of all on his own up here, but he still wants to go in. He wants to dive on the support. He's popping his shield, looking to get that return kill. The fight's not really over until you call it, until you start to get out there. But you're seeing a great rotation here from Nino. He manages to pick up the support in kind, making sure that he keeps the lead that his team has worked so hard to build. A lot of great things to take note of, but once they got that initial pick, you saw them abuse the mobility. Everything was happening up here initially, but then as soon as that pick comes through, that's when you start to see everybody start to dive the backline. The little pink and blue-haired Eevee and Maeve deep in Penta's backline to keep pressure on this Tyra. Take-back potential is there for this team. That's what Penta do. This triple front line stands on the objective. You can see they come back in.
That's right.
Everyone from Sour Team immediately scatters. This one's pretty close, though, I think, from start to finish. It's about the role player, though. Tyra Slashline is not my main concern after having watched Game 1. It's how well that this fight can sort of bounce back from Penta. They are so tanky in the first round. Those are the types of strengths that they look to play to, but Sour Team kept their damn foot on the pedal, Dave. They just continued to be aggressive, continued again. Let's stop this one here again. Break down just sort of where everyone's sitting. You see in the back half, hey, what's up, Maeve?
Hey, Maeve.
She's chilling out here. Everybody, here's half court. Here's half court, and then you look at Eevee and Maeve specifically. I'm going to use the ellipse tool here just because. They're in the back. They're looking to play past half court. This is where they were the first fight. This is where they have been essentially the entirety of the second fight. You can see one main difference, though. Check this out. Way here in the back line playing much safer this time around. You see Genos. First team fight, he gets dove somewhere in this little pit. That's where he dies and says, I'm Genos. I can have a wall in front of me. I can do whatever I want. I just need to stay safe. We can go ahead and play out the rest of this clip. But even in this first fight, you're seeing big adjustments being made by Sour Team because they're realizing the strength of what Penta's composition brings, and they're trying to play well around that. Staying spread, trying to really make space between themselves and this Tyra, dive the immobile targets, and attack from multiple angles like they know they can.
I love that telestrator. Love the up high advantage.
It's
that we
all
get
about
looking
the
down
circle
at
tools,
team
folks.
play. That's right. It's all about the big old circles.
It's
Beautiful
fun.
job
I love
breaking
this
that
thing.
one down. No, it's an awesome thing to have in. The production value certainly high on that. But one thing you kind of noticed in that fight when Sour Team came out on top, and this is one thing you had mentioned, was the mobility of the Eevee and the Maeve.
Yeah. Kind
of taking advantage of the way that Penta were playing, and then towards the end, it was really the last point fight. I remember Accentra on Inara just bullying Ninu on the Eevee. Like the mobility was there, but the shots were all hitting. The ice block had to get used just to negate Inara auto attacks towards the end of the game, and that little bit of a difference made the difference in this case for Penta. They find win number 1. Serpent Beach is where we're going to head, though, for map number 2. Sour Team looking for a bounce back here in this case. And drafts, somewhat interesting. You get triple DPS up against triple frontline on the opposite side. Maybe a bit of a return to normalcy in this case. Cassie, though, that's sort of been that fourth flex ban in a way. You normally get these 3 hybrid frontliners. Cassie tends to be filling that fourth role. Maybe opens the door to a Ruckus. That's sort of maybe when you see teams start to prioritize a Ruckus when the Cassie is off the table. That's the way it was last time. Maybe not this time, though.
Excentra's Cassie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So not only do they take that away from him, but they just open the door to the Ruckus. Ruckus is... He's effective when he's effective, and what that, it's kind of like that Drogoz conversation we had. If you can pick Drogoz up 10th with no real counters on the board, he can absolutely abuse you and dominate the game. Ruckus still can do well what he does well. It's just about finding that situation to actually pick him up and give him the opportunity to do so. Sour Team draft well in game number 1. Penta, I think their draft is just easier. If Sour Team don't come out and win the damn game, Penta are going to win it. If they tie it or allow Penta to win, there's 2 or 3 circumstances right there outlined that Penta are going to come away with that first game. And that's sort of some of the strengths of Triple Tank. Now that Tyra's sort of been discovered, Tyra is the perfect cherry on top to a Triple Tank composition to not only have all of the pros of it being tanky, but now it's dangerous. Now that Inara walks you down and actually kills you.
And it's a great counter to Genos as well. I mean, Genos, you get the damage amplification on 1, 2, maybe 3 if you cycle your cooldowns perfectly, champions on your own team. But Tyra, it's a specific target. Everyone can add in a little bit of extra damage onto wherever that mark goes. And Penta, that's sort of been the history. If we look back at last game just a little bit more, triple frontline tends to come out on top when you look at a triple DPS comp going up against it, and that does not change this time around. I think Sour Team will feel good about the way they played, though. The fact that you take Penta to 7 points is not anything any of the teams have been able to say up to this point this weekend. But Genos first off the board here for Sour Team. That leaves...
It's an interesting
Torvald is open here, so Atlas and Khan fill that void, and Torvald does get picked up first here for Penta.
The next time you
and I think part of the reason they're okay with that is that Serpent Beach is probably more so than any other map in the game high ground oriented. And out of the gate, Penta have not grabbed anything that's going to control high ground. Things that you would like to pair with Torvald that also do well on Serpent Beach is like Eevees and Maves. Both still available, both highly contested, frankly, today. I'm really surprised to see the sheer amount of Mave that we've already seen so far in this tournament. So Penta still have a ton of space, half as much space now to draft something high ground, something mobile for themselves. Eevee is available. Simsalute is a great Eevee. Already played and displayed some of that today. Played at Pip as well. That could work. That could be something that they look to lean on. And it's something that could work now that people have really just gone all in on Pip as a flanker. He's going to do a lot of damage and bounce around and piss you off.
I mean, Maeve has a 67% win rate this weekend here in the MSI from what I've seen. And, I mean, that's a strong number. I mean, you can look at the individual matchups. Maybe, the team that's been doing the 3-0s played Maeve most of that set, whatever it may be. But Maeve is certainly a champion that can change things around. Of course, you have to look at the Torvald that Penta bring to the table here. Those bubbles are just going to add a little bit extra. Throw it on an Eevee as well. And the way this tends to go is you give those Torvald bubbles in the early game, and that really gives you an advantage. But maybe you start building some Wrecker, the shields start to last just a little bit less, and then Sour Team may be able to be a little bit more on even footing towards the end of it. But Penta, right now on paper, 1 through 4, they look to be controlling this early game just a little bit.
They pick up this Leon early, not only to get it away from Perdo, who now has his Cassie taken away, his Leon taken away, but now they have to worry about the Eevee without one of the better counters available. They probably would have done the same thing, right? We already have the Maeve. If we get a Leon as well, that's going to be all good. So what can this Maeve really accomplish?
My journey leads me to battle.
Such good counterplay on the board. Shaolin might be the answer. Traditionally has,
hell.
before people looked to
More
Leon,
triple.
they did look to Shaolin. Explosive Arrow, having the burst damage to handle this Winter Witch was one of the ways PPL teams looked to bail themselves out of that pressure.
I mean, what's impressive is the 67% win rate on Maeve. Even more so impressive is the 88% that Tyra's bringing to the table in this case. Back into a triple DPS composition. Go Sour Team, but they have the double damage amp this time, going against the amplification of the Torvald bubbles, the field study on the Penta side. More traditional lineup for Penta. Still triple DPS for Sour Team. Do you think this is a good chance for Sour to bounce back here on Serpent Beach?
It's only going to be harder, man. I mean, you do have your hunting party, you do have your anti-flank burst in Shaolin, but it's 2,000 extra health on these bubbles. Wrecker's going to come online. It's going to be, an answer to it, but if Penta just 4-0 like they have been, man, that's going to be a tough pace to fight against.
Well, if Game 1's indicative of this set, Game 2 is going to be just as fun. Penta, they strike first. Sour Team, they look to bounce back. How's it going to play out? We got to go to Serpent Beach to find out.
Well, thank you, Dave. And Nick, it's time to get into it. Game 2 coming across. And we were just thinking of an interesting dynamic here. The fact that, you know, if NIP were to go up against Sour Team, depending on the results for today, it would be basically the old NIP versus the new NIP kind of facing off against one another.
Yeah, the Perdot Sheepa return from that. And on the other side, I mean, K-Gruncy too was on the NIP that played in Worlds. So
That's
either
right.
way, there's some
NIP baggage going through into that matchup.
I was going to say bad blood, but I honestly don't know.
You would have got me started off on a Taylor Swift song at that point, considering she's been all the news lately.
Today.
Yeah, we were. We really, really were. And we're not going to basically ruin your ears for it. We're just going to make sure we take that into the focus on the game. And man, oh man, talk about focus. Simsaloo and Erase absolutely erase Ninu. Big kill there, double kill for Erase here. This is not even fair. This is a full wipe.
Yeah, just really, really fast. I was actually going to mention that I think, again, on this composition, you'd normally think you see this comp, you're like, oh, Tor Vivi, that's the combo, right?
Yep.
But against triple DPS, I really think it is Tor Leon.
Yeah.
I think you just use that burst damage, that auto aim to just instantly delete all the squishy DPSs on Sour Team.
It's a good call, and you mentioned 720. That's that headshot damage, normally 600, so an extra 120 makes such a difference. And it's just surprising. Penta come out of the gate swinging, not really a punch back. Maybe a little stagger happening on the side of Sour Team. Penta looking very good after their Game 1 win.
Yeah, and just absolute, really fantastic focus fire, too, from Penta. As soon as someone peeks top right, they're like, well, that means it's a DPS. I'll shoot there. It's probably dead. And dead, dead it was.
Oh, dead it was.
It had absolutely
Sounds like the start of a
do.
Shakespeare line right there. Oh, dead it was.
I soliloquy just staring into the ether talking about this. Penta actually settling up on the right side. Perdot they're just getting absolutely walked all over. The high ground doesn't mean anything when you just die as soon as you peek something. Field Study Bubble on the Enlightenment actually does like 2k damage, but it doesn't matter. Still gets traded out at the end. Great stun by Boca, but just slows down some damage. Isn't going to really confirm anything yet.
Can you believe it? On the day of Dave Socks, you say the high ground means nothing. Anakin, he sure knows that the high ground means something at this point. So
did Anakin have a Torvald bubble?
That's the truth. Man, wouldn't that have changed Star Wars? I don't even want to consider that.
I have Field Study.
That's exactly. No, wait a second. A Torvald bubble comes out at the end, saves him. That would have been pretty special right there.
Simsaloo, I just have to mention that how Simsaloo is just walking all over them. I mean, this is a map for verticality, right?
Yeah.
I've mentioned that before. They have Maeve, but Eevee can get up and get back down. He can just constantly maneuver back and forth. Maeve, only has her pounce for verticality. She can double jump prowl, but it won't always reach up there. And Eevee's just way more flexible when it comes to bouncing from position to position back and forth and getting those weird angles to find those confirms.
It's so unfortunate to see what was such a contested Game 1 go this way, this fast. But sometimes it's the best thing for Sour Team to just reset. Understand that there's no way to stop that stagger at that point. They haven't found a way to deal with the Rays, haven't found a way to deal with Simsaloo. Their strength is going to come from really having pressure, and that's where their pressure can extend. So Ninu and, of course, Perdot have to take different angles. Ninu got eliminated so quickly. Sheepa was just a sitting duck for the mobility of Penta. See if they can change up their tactics here. Still going on that right side, trying to fight Catwalking. Oh my goodness gracious, already getting poked to half health.
It's already better for them because they have 5 members still, but Serena's just getting really pressured on point. Has to dash away. Erase walking across the left with a Field Study Bubble. Excentra actually manages to die, but trades are still coming through. Dread Serpent stuns out Leopi. No heals coming in, but Erase is going to chase this down to the ends of the earth, I'm sure.
And he missed a couple of shots, but it doesn't matter. He's got to hit a few more. It's a little bit of cat and mouse here, and the cat decides he's deciding on new prey. And there's the Dome Shield as well. Through time and space from Jopi doesn't prove lethal to Simsaloo, who just immunes it with the Ice Block and another one there onto Zarini. Erase applying a ton of pressure.
Yeah, one thing is they don't have any control over dial sides. Erase can just sit there for free. Excentra taking the stun, but it's not going to kill him. Assert dominance on point. Boom! Right on the dwarf's head. Cannot move. He is done. Looks like Penta have really, really solid control. Is Sour tries to get out on the side?
Very rude plays from Excentra, but very effective for his team. Penta looking real good to start this one off again. An objective capture number 2. They were a 1-2 punch in round 1. Looking to do the same exact thing in round 2, but Ninu has other plans. He's on the mount already. They will get a touch most likely, but a good Ice Storm shuts off the main round.
Yeah, the Ice Storm basically denies the free overtime from Zarini. Ninu using planted on the side, low cooldowns. Sims is getting focused, but he can get away from this. Zarini has to touch. The Ice Storm really delayed this. Actually, The Heat Haze is popping off right now. Doing a ton of damage.
Out!
2v3, but it can actually still happen. It's still Torv and Ash. Torv Bubble Dash can do a pretty respectable amount of damage, but he goes for the point. He didn't need to. It wasn't overtime yet. That was a little bit of a misstep as Crunchy goes down 2, and it looks like this mid-fight's going to go to Sour.
And wow, what a turn of events. Sour team able to bring it back and keep things interesting. Big shot there from Ninu, and that's really the story of it. The Heat Haze, as you mentioned, got work. The second one in that fight because he started off the round with a Heat Haze as well immediately and was able to build it back up. So Shaolin proving that he has a place in this lineup for Sour team and absolutely being the reason that they were able to bring this one back.
Yeah, Shaw's still a fantastic counter-flanker, and even when he was out of the meta, some people have some FPS issues when they play him, but one of the reasons he was out of the meta was just people were just focusing him, and if you're in a meta where you can like protect him, keep him kiting and running away, he can really do a lot of damage. He's one of the worst DPSs to ignore.
Right.
If you don't want to ignore any DPS. But
Shaolin
specifically?
is true. That's very true.
He can just annihilate you.
Shaolin, Vivian, I mean, there's a couple of damage characters where if you really just let them go, it's just like, man, there's no coming back from this. Hyper Beam to create some space and then a bubble to bounce back. Oh my goodness gracious. Erase has been moving with the fluidity of a dancer here on Leon throughout the course of this game. And he's got Wind Dancer to boot there thanks to the Torvald, who's been hooking him up with some speed and some safety and a little bit of damage as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, she's fantastic against DPSs. And any map with verticality, she's going to get that slide momentum. She can really chase you down, and being chased down with a 30% field study boost is terrifying.
And plus mending spirits. Luckily now, though, a little bit of Wrecker's been built up. Crunchy lost his shields in one shot from Ninu there. Goes for the planet, can't quite connect. Big shot, though, as he lands. Withdraw, looking for the Eevee. Simpsy's going to run away from this one. He's going to get away for now. Erase. Oh, that would have been easy clean up, but he misses it. Goes to Purdue instead. And now the push will continue.
Yeah, Purdue holding top left, poking this new ledge area. I'm actually not sure what some teams call it. I've always called it new ledge. But
you know what I call it? Get this. Ledge.
No way.
Yeah. I know. I'm not. The league isn't ready for me to be a coach. Okay.
That's probably the call out in game, to be honest. Oh man, crazy cat burglar poke actually top right, really getting some pressure. He's coming top left around to the balcony side of the Oasis, poking at Simpsy. This is great control, but Sour has to move a little bit off this. They have to find the poke from this. They manage to do. They find Crunchy. Purdue still controlling this area. That's a lot. Has to back up because of Simpsy, but look how much room he made for the rest of his team. They were distracted. The damage wasn't there. Picks going their way, but looks like Erase is just going to do Leon things and turn it back around.
Oh, Leon things are being done. Do not forget it. Eliminations as well, helping to reduce the cooldown of that Eminence, which is so deadly with the Torvald bubble as well. Remember, Torvald, the only kind of damage amplification in the game that applies to abilities also, and that Eminence technically an ability, even though the Cleave of Grace and Valor also counting as direct shots for Leon, applying Cauterize and such.
Also, quick little note, Crunchy and Simpsy jumped off the map there. I don't know if that, at the end, I don't think that was full BM. I believe that was actually just to make sure that if anybody on the other team kills them on middle, they will not get any ult charge bonus. If you kill somebody who's on a kill streak moving forward through the game, you get a boost depending on how many kills they have. Assists don't matter. If you kill a 50 support
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But 10 assists, that'd be crazy. Erase and Simsy, my goodness, we told you they were having a good game, but holy crap, 17-4?
13-4 on Simpsy too, and he's getting less pockets, I think. I think Erase is getting the lion's share of it.
Simsy's like, I'm doing more work here. Let's be honest. I deserve MVP. We'll have a battle with that. You got to win the game. That's for sure, and it looks like they are very close to it. Erase playing confident as he should, 17-4. He's barely tasted defeat. He's essentially got more than a 4-to-1 KD. And he's continuing to find damage there. 1100 on to the center point, and there's a through time and space. It's going to be just off, but Sheepa and Simsy end up trading out.
Yeah, these assert dominances have not been finding the mark. Eccentric dying, trying to go in for that, but Erase and Crunchy have complete control of the high ground. Yopi trying to hide in the waterfall. That is risky if he wants to commit, but Simpsy actually didn't go for it, it looks like. Dome Shield on point. They're going to have to panic to touch. Maybe Eccentric can go back in, but they're getting the picks on this side. Enlightenment finds the kill on Purdue, but the point control is still in Sour Team's favor.
Try to go for Bolka here. This is big. Zarini's going to be forced off, but the crossfires there, holding her up, and she's going to slam down, and there it is. Sour Team clean it up while Ash is in the air, and she lands just a little bit too late. It's still a game, ladies and gentlemen. Shoulder bash will send her back to base as Sour Team now get to push again.
He didn't think about doing the vertical ult. If you do the, for Ash right
straight
now,
up vertical.
Yeah, straight up vertical, you come down straight vertical. If you're looking in any direction, you will go pretty far in that direction. I think if he went vertical, he would have touched the contest zone just to
Do you think he was thinking
think
he
was
didn't
thinking he
have
didn't
enough?
have to use
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think he wasn't thinking, if I don't land right on time, then we will not lose it. We will not win this point. I think he thought he maybe had a little bit of wiggle room. Whether one of his teammates were around would have been a completely different case in the fight, because 8 seconds of immunity plus a pretty decently healthy Ashe, that would have been a struggle to deal with. Also have to shout out the items here. If you notice, Cruncy had a really nice nullify on his Zarini earlier on, and Zarini actually did not pick up Resilience, so I don't know if Cruncy just canceled it. I don't know what happened, but the Dome Shield came out right afterwards and really bought them a lot of time on point when Zarini was low.
Yeah, and actually, I like how Penta's building into Resil, basically just to counter the Mayville.
Yeah.
Because that's their main execution.
Yeah.
It's Mayville.
Yeah.
You can, Crossfire, you can walk in with it, you can still shoot her. Dome Shield buys time, but the only way they can really go in is with them.
Yeah.
And Resilience counters it. Thank God, by the way. That
Thank
patch
God.
where it didn't, oh my God.
It was scary. I'm sure it was a bad time.
Those were not good times to script. Those were like
No.
white champion background still, too. Oh my Lord.
Well, I'm glad that I don't have to see that part, and I just get to see the beautiful gameplay that shows
yeah,
up
exactly.
after all the hard work. A lot of people don't realize all the
Game's
time
got a long way.
that goes into it, and yeah, better and better as they continue to develop. There's been a lot of times we all can remember as old school Paladins players and fans, but
Been a fantastic game all the way through, honest to God.
you know what, man? It's I always maintain that as well. Everything has ups and downs, but damn it, if you're still playing it after 3-4 years, there's got to be something to it that is overwhelmingly good in the sense of things.
This is a really hard push for Sour Team to try to do onto the high ground. This is actually a little more doable when they're holding here on the balcony, just because they can walk up. But once it gets further back, it's really tough for them to get through, since only their mate can take the high.
And they really, really collapse. And it's partly because they accept that they are going down here, but it's partly because they don't have the tankiest lineup. Ashe and Torvald aren't really your sustain, especially if they're not sacrificing ults at this point in the game, because they want to save them for the next round. Obviously, Penta in control here, but Sour Team have a little bit of an ability to maybe turn this around and tie the game up, set themselves up for a chance to win next round.
Depends on what ults they're willing to use here, though, and it looks like none so far. Raze,
No
Raze
kills
Simpson
yet.
and Cruncy just walking across upper. Sheepa is definitely dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no out. And now this control
Oh,
from Penta,
man.
it's over. Yeah, they shouldn't have let them come through. They needed their Maeve to stop them upper, but they just had to back up. There's just too much damage. One person can't stop a Torvald Leon.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. And although the records have been built up, and we've seen that Ninu has the impact on the Shaolin to really one-shot a lot of those shields, thus the effects start to wear off, it's almost like once the bubble even goes on, the way that Raze is playing, he's so locked in, there's really not much time to counter that with anything, with even a shot. Charging up your bow, you're dead.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing about Leon is like winning. She's one of the best 1v1 DPS champs, you know? And now you put one of the champs that's the whole point is basically you will win any duel that I'm with you for.
Yep.
It makes it even harder. So it's really hard to lock them down without having a tank up there. And when one tank, you need your tank on the point.
This is
Look at
going to
that
be
damage
interesting
shot.
here. I mean, 100,000 damage. I just want to say that I believe in about 10 minutes or so the other day, we still had Prosper Logic, who was 140,000 damage on the Vivian.
Yes.
Earlier than this.
But that was against 3 tanks.
That's true, but it's still just an incredible number. We've seen 3
yeah.
tanks before as well. Haven't seen those numbers. So got to give credit to my peeps when I can. Through time and space, into the Hyper Beam. Won't get a kill on a Cruncy, though. Excentra will find Sheepa and kick this fight off.
Yeah, it looks like Penta's playing a little bit more point focused. They managed to catch Zarini there. Denied the cap time, too. It's a lot less one-sided than it was in the previous rounds. I think really, really solid ult usage by Penta. The fear hitting Ninu was a huge, huge thing, because he actually avoided it in the previous mids. He let it go a little bit further, deaded a little bit later. Ninu couldn't get away, and that led to his pick.
Now, Maeve looking to create some angles, and he has already done so. Force an ice block, force a blink, and now there's a little bit of trouble. Perdot doing damage, holding down the point, and Ray's trying to find some kills. He's getting aggressive. He knows he has the bubble, but does he have it fast enough? Perdot gets Simsaloo in the process, and Excentra and Zarini trading out while Cruncy tries to take the left side, but Erase has not fully committed yet.
Yeah, Race is actually dropping down now with a Hunter's Mark. Gets burned through, but Cruncy might be able to clean those two up. They're both really low. Looks like he backs up instead to save Bolka, but they're just holding on the point now. I don't know if he can move in time. Single comeback means he has to go a little early.
Wow.
Simpsy to get some damage.
Wow.
But Zarini gets his reset and lives through. Manages to die still here, though, but basically no tanks on the field at all.
Big time stuff here coming through. Perdot with a nice, actually, Simsaloo with a nice blink and blink back in a raise. And Excentra come charging back into the point. It's 81% now, but Sour Team can hold on. They can back off. They've got 99. The 6-man is in their favor. Penta don't want to step on, otherwise they'll get blasted. And there's the big time shots from Shaolin, but it's not enough to fully kill Excentra as he's getting fully healed.
Yeah, he's getting through, but they can just burn him through. The damage, it's too much for them to go with. Zarini getting focused, the Nullify denying the reset. There's nothing he could do. Shaolin trying to come in from the side, but you're not going to get through an Ice Storm. There's
Dread
basically
Serpent.
nothing left. Double tank showed their power there.
Yeah.
because they could constantly get cap time, so Sour Team had to wait for Zarini.
Man. That is where you start to look at the little things making a big difference. Simsalou is shaking because there's so much on the line here. These are competitors. These are people that could easily have taken this game from him. He knows how good they are. And the problem is they know how good they are as well. They're feeling a little bit downtrodden after the fact that they were seeing some good moments happen in that game for them and just couldn't put it together.
Yeah, this is showing how close these teams really are.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been competing for so long. This is basically the result of all these matches online, all these scrims online, all these scrims since they've been here, and land boost for both teams. But so good for Penta so far. They've gotten the upper hand.
So far, very good for Penta indeed. Simsy trying to calm himself down. Obviously, a lot of emotion running through. He's ready to finish the D.
He really
there.
is the anime protagonist.
I've never seen that one. He truly is about to go Super Saiyan or something.
I swear I saw an energy.
We may need an
emanating
admin to
from
check
him.
in on Simsalou to make sure everything is okay. He doesn't blow away the equipment. Let's send it back to the desk and break down game 2.
Getting the upper hand, no matter how shaky that upper hand may be. Penta on top. Similar feeling of a game. But the outcome's the same here. One win away from winning the play-in bracket is Penta here. Sour Team just so close that they opt into the triple DPS yet again, but yet again, for the third time I'll say again, they lose in this one. Penta coming out on top. I agree, I think, with Kresnik there. Towards the end, so much going back and forth, but just that little bit of extra tankiness, that double tank flexes its muscles, and Penta comes out on top.
Getting the lion's share of those bubbles, indeed. 23-8 was a raise.
Oh.
But playing in the finals of the MSI play-in bracket without getting a lot of Torvald bubbles and still going 20-8, I mean, that's more of an excuse than anything, I think, for his adrenaline to be pumping.
Good Lord.
He definitely earned his stripes there on that game.
3-8 deaths for Penta. 3-11 deaths for Sour Team. Simsalou was, I mean, you look at their matchup yesterday and the way he just blew up Nemesis when they played. Simsalou was notably the talk of the town, but Raze came to play today. He was there just as well yesterday, but 23-8. This Leon, this player on Leon as well, have shown that if you give him this champion, you give him Torvald bubbles on top of that, he's going to make you pay. And at 130,000 damage, 3.7 KDA, 23 kills, he does just that here in this one.
It's not your standard pair with Torvald, but we try to always highlight that you can really make anything viable work with Torvald. Anything that's already viable on his own is going to be viable with 30% more damage and 2,000 more HP for 3-second intervals. It's a really, really nice display of timing on those bubbles as well. You saw a couple of presences. One hit from basically the back waterfall, essentially to the point for about 1,500 damage onto Peridot's poor little Tyra. We saw one of the enlightenments get bubbled, almost, right up against the line there. Almost missed it, but it gets up to almost 2,000 damage bubble off, or enlightenment off, excuse me. There's a crazy amount of potential there. It doesn't always have to be a flank that you pair Torvald with. Something safe like a backline. And Leon, once you get rhythm and momentum on her in a fight, you really can't transition that into a smooth dive. Enlightenment is a great tool to safely get kills in a backline with.
Top to bottom, brilliant performance here from Penta. Again, one win away from moving on. In this case, they would move on to face Na'Vi, which would put Sour Team up against NIP tomorrow if these results stay the same going on to Game 3. I don't know if Penta are going to get shaken. I mean, they haven't dropped a single map this entire weekend already up to this point. 4-3 was the closest game that they've played. Last one goes 4-2. These are two teams that are familiar with one another, though. You said, I mean, Sour Team, I think week 1 played against Penta and got the better of them there. But recency, if you look at the recency of the games that they've played against one another in the minor league, Penta has had Sour Team's number pretty much for the entire end of the split, and they've all looked very similar to this, where Sour Team is so close, they're hanging in there. But Penta's just had the upper hand the entire time.
Having Torvald in combination with playing as together that this team does, that's what makes that combination so scary. If it's not something that you practice a lot of, like I said, it's only a 3-second window, which can feel like an eternity if you're playing against it. But when you're trying to get as much damage into that window, timing is important. So having a good Torvald player to bubble you at the right time so you can make the most of it matters a lot It was done very well by Penta. That's why you
Absolutely.
see 23 and 8, thousands and thousands of damage above the next closest member. That Leon was phenomenal, and with all the attention there, Simsalou was allowed to, in turn, run free as well.
Well, Jaguar Falls is the third map in this set, potentially the final map in this set. Sour Team has leaned into the triple DPS 2 games out of 2 up to this point. Will they opt for something a little different? Maybe. They ban the Torvald and the Pip here. Good map to ban away Pip on. Good team to ban away Pip from. Simsalou has shown time and time again that he can play that champion very well. Pip's going to be the flex ban. Torvald, Makoa, Atlas are going to be 1, 2, 3. Sour Team back in the driver's seat here with first pick. They went Genos last time. Again, I think at this point, and maybe you agree or disagree, but they've gone triple DPS twice. Game 1 was a 7-pointer. That last one was a 6-pointer. Do you move away from that now if you're Sour Team?
From Genos first, yeah. There's a lot of good front lines open, both Khan and Ashe. When it comes to first pick, though, you're 99% of the time seeing Khan, not Ashe.
Right.
But Barrick and Inara still being open and available as well, and both of which will be available when this second phase of picks come through, the 2 and the 3 for Sour Team. They're going to get 2 frontliners pretty much no matter what. So the conversation becomes, what do you want the most from what's available?
It is going to be the Khan. So Penta, as you said, I mean, the frontline pool is then Inara, of course, who's going to get taken off the board here. Maybe Barrick, maybe Ashe. Those are the 2 remaining high priority. They're going to opt for the Cassie, though, a champion that's found herself in the ban column oftentimes with that sort of flex ban that we see, straying away from the frontliners. And Penta's going to grab her up this time. And Simsalou and Erase have both shown that they can play this Cassie. So that's, I think, important to look at, in that it's not immediately, okay, Erase is going to go onto this Cassie. I mean, there's still some flexibility to be had there on the Penta side. She's a very potent champion, and I think on either one of them, she'll make her presence felt in this one. But how Sour Team answer back, I think, is important to look at here. Maybe you just wrap up your front line, get your choice between Ashe, Barrick. Depends on which way they want to go, though. Genos still on the board as well. But at least initially, it looks like Sour Team are maybe taking a step back. Okay, well, I was going to say take a step back from triple DPS, but a Tyro, that opens that door up just a little bit.
Running 3 DPS with Khan isn't super...
Yeah, it's true. You don't have a lot of tankiness at that point.
Isn't super ideal. You wouldn't leave yourself with a point front line.
Right.
Inara prioritized over the Barrick is an interesting note as well, because Penta usually would be taking that Barrick. I'm wondering if it's just because of this Cassie. Cassie deals very well with Inara, so if they grab the problem and the solution here, so to speak, for themselves, and they will actually be able to take Ruckus.
I mean, if nothing else, if Barrick gets chosen here, I mean, he's pick 8 or 9. I think that might be a good fit for what Sour Team have. I mean, double damage amp on the Barrick. He'll be able to bully out this Inara. The Ruckus brings a little bit of damage, though. But interesting picks here. Not only is this the first time we've seen Furia this weekend, but Penta, I mean, Crunchy's so good on the Ruckus. We've seen that throughout the split as well. But the Furia, why do you think she's been less prioritized up to this point here in the MSI?
Well, less prioritized, I think, just because of what's been open. There really hasn't been much focus on bans. Like when you're looking at, damage amp stuff being available, Genos and Tyra haven't been seeing too much attention. Tyra's been seeing more bans, I think, than Genos. If anything, Furia is just another source of damage amp, right? They have Tyra, they have Genos. Penta still wants some type of damage amp. She's absolutely viable in the healer column.
There it is.
Has the range as well. And a Sky pick is a little curious. I mean, big health pools on the side of Penta, both Inara and Ruckus. Easy targets as well for this guy to chew through.
Well, if the shots are good, Drogoz actually might have a hard time staying up above. I assume that'll be Simsalou on the Drogoz, Erase then on the Cassie this time around. Sour Team, they don't opt for triple DPS this time, but they do have the double damage amp. Do you think they have what they need to deal with the Drogoz on the opposite side, maybe find a win here?
Technically still with 4 hit scans, they do have a lot of pressure to put onto this dragon in the sky. Even Barrick, if his shots are dialed in, he's going to be landing as well. This is good stuff from Sour Team. They have a lot of damage potential, but this is sort of the same flavor of composition that has been run in every single game so far, and Penta have not struggled to deal with it so far.
It's time to find out if Sour Team are able to answer back or if Penta are going to seal the deal and win your play-in bracket. To find out, let's go down to Evan and Krisnick.
Oh, almost thought I said Evan and Chris. I would have said, well, that is That is a mistake. No caster.
Yeah, if you're gonna call me my first name,
Evan and Chris.
at least accidentally call me Dave or something. Like that's been happening all week.
Does anyone feel bad about calling anyone else Dave? Because I feel like
I mean, I'd like to be Dave.
Yeah,
but
you
I
usually
feel like
trade
I have
it
to
up.
earn it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And we didn't get to see your cool hair, which you've got a great thing going on.
I can make it even worse, but maybe after this set.
Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna make a note about Solar Blessing, whether they ran it or not, but looks like they are. Don't think he's gonna switch this close to it. Solar's been underutilized recently. I've seen so much Furia with so little Solar Blessing, but it's so much healing, especially paired with an Inara.
Well, you have more wiggle room, less wiggle room to get it wrong here, especially since the map is so tightly compacted. And there's Excentra going to get his first beat.
Well, still got healed. Still got healed.
But he didn't realize Drogoz was above him, and he stalled that beam. It thought, hey, why isn't that traveling? He realized, oh, yeah, that's right. The dragon up there.
That's one of the potential issues with Solar Blessing, though. Like your DPSs just can't peel for you if you want to beam your tanks.
That's why planes need air traffic controllers, by the way. Just gave us a real example why you got to always know what's above you or below you when you're dealing with the sky. Big stuff here, and when you're dealing with the sky as well, it could be big damage, but Ninu not quite yet finding first blood. Not finding any blood. Zarini, though, takes down Excentra. It looks like Sheepa is about to go down, but Simsy's got to find the right angles on him. Take a look at the Drogoz.
Really
Where is he at? Oh, he just got down.
He was getting pressured out above their side. He had to hide. Wasn't able to kite away. There's a lot of hit scan pressure, like Nick said, from Sour Team here, and it's really going to be hard for him, especially with the multiple damage boosts. I think that's why they didn't pick the Sky for the Drogoz, but I think the double damage boost plus Sky is going to make life a living hell for Inara and Ruckus. And as long as they can keep the Sky away from the Cassie or patient when the Scout is up, it really is going to do a lot. I mean, Jag is a map where you can run pretty much anything.
This really feels like the map where, and just the point in a series and a season where you can get caught out, especially when your back's against the wall, when you want to put together a lineup that maybe the enemy team isn't expecting. It feels like the Sky is what Sour Team have been defaulting to really catch people off guard, add a little bit more damage, add a factor that they weren't considering and maybe weren't prepared to deal with. And who really is prepared to deal with a ton of damage like that? 1105 to the dome. That is just nuts from Simsaloo with the damage amp there.
Imagine if he was on Fusillon.
Yeah, oh my god.
That would be unreal, but Drogo is pressuring like that. It's hard to do. When he decides to come down, if you're the one he picks, unless you have some form of CC, you're probably dead. I mean, Drogo just does such an insane amount of damage. If he finds the opportunity like that, he's going to confirm. Salvo held up here, probably looking for a dismount, maybe some burst damage on the Sky if he can find it, but it seems like Ninu's going to play a little bit careful on the side.
Simsaloo still getting potentially pressure now. There's a big overpower, and he grabs him. Okay, weren't quite sure because of the POV, but he did follow through the beam, healing up a few members of Penta, but the time bomb trying to take him down. Ninu will not end up getting the kill, but he will create the space. Arrays in the meanwhile through the back step will find a crucial blow, taking down one of the DPS who has been really pressuring out the rest of Penta, but Sour Team do not have it all figured out yet. Excentra is going to at least stall out thanks to the firebomb, but he'll find a kill on his return.
Looks like they want to commit here with the crossfire, but the Solar Blessing comes in just in time for Excentra. Birdo's going to have to use that speed just to get out at this point. I mean, there's no more damage really to be done. Gets a trade onto Simsy, actually. If the tanks get there, just a little bit too far. Birdo gets traded out. More heals for Furia. And they might actually stagger Zarini here if they go fast enough.
I don't know if they can. Ninu's still around. Got to be careful. There's a lot of damage. I know Inara's tanky, but when it comes to debilitate, no one's as tanky as you might think, especially if you don't see it coming. So that hidden. We'll wonder if they pick up any of the Illuminates. One of the easiest ways to counter out these stealth characters, but so often not of value, not a priority in your loadout this early with your credits, but could make life just a little bit easier and really nullify one of the big threats that Sour Team are playing off
I mean, if anyone's going to run Illuminate, it's probably going to be the Ruckus, realistically, because everyone else kind of wants to keep their distance. Sky can still do some pretty decent chip damage, especially if you get those poison bolts. Crunchy finding the hole to kill Yuppie, though, in the middle of main, running away through Secret. No one really able to chase him. Frag's being traded about evenly, though, and Bolka's low in the backline. He might not be able to peek to do any extra damage, which gives Sour Team a bit of an advantage. Zarini poking down Crunchy. Crunchy doesn't have a emitter, but Simsy comes back from spawn. If he can get his resets here, he can get the trade, but Arrays is confirming every single time he clicks on his mouse. 3 kills for him.
Hey, that's good.
Defend for Penta.
That's a great quality right there. Every single time
he clicks his mouse.
You click your mouse.
Confirms a kill.
Confirms a kill.
I mean, that man would be picked up to any team.
Any team.
Any team.
Any man with
any
that
role.
resume.
Put him on support.
Exactly.
Honestly.
The man, 1 click, 1 kill. That's a beautiful kind of tribute there to the play. We're seeing some great slash lines coming through on the side of a lot of players here. Raze particularly has had a lights-out couple of games. That Leon play was fantastic, and his Cassie play will follow suit as well.
Simpsy running a little bit low on damage, but I think that's just because of the solid positioning by Sour Team.
I think he's just being patient.
Yeah, he also can't really peek into the
Right.
Tyra sky. I mean, it's tough for him. We saw that one kill he got chasing down Zarini, and I think that was one of the few opportunities he's even had to commit.
And I really would love to see how they tackle this dragon again, because the scout easily gives them a good angle as to where he's coming from. That means the mark will show up, which it has. But now they got to worry about the overpower, and there it is. It's coming through, and it's right onto Simpsy, and this is exactly what they didn't want.
They got managed to get a trade out of it, though, and that's probably the best they're hoping for. But this time bomb got a lot of damage onto Eccentric. Yeah, that is absolute value. Erase has to get out of here or stagger. If he gets staggered here, this is really, really rough for him. It looks like he might be able to make it away.
So.
Ninu chasing. No, actually. He stayed committed. The somersault. He didn't get the somersault far away enough. Oof. He stayed too close.
And you know what's huge there, Krez, is that Ninu was actually very fast at charging his ultimate. He was at 37%. Didn't get that killing blow on a 7 streak that was coming from a Raze. So there might have been a little bit more of a time bomb to pay attention to for the rest of this round. But here's the seismic crash. He's going to be a nice dodge roll away, but Jopi will claim Bolka, and that's enough. It's Sour Team capturing this objective. Now they go ahead, and Penta on the back foot yet again.
That was great positioning by Sour Team. They completely denied K-Crunchy the Jag side that he wanted. He wanted to come in from that into Dark, Dark being the like horseshoe-shaped room next to the point. He wanted to come through Dark towards the point. You and your codes. What would you prefer me to say, Evan?
The room. The room with some shadows.
He was in the room.
He was in the room.
So one person was holding the room, the other person was holding the other room, and Sour Team was just positioned, I think, impeccably.
And that's part of what Sour Team have been doing very well in this round. A lot of positioning, a lot of setup. They've really had a lot of soft surrounds here for Simsy and being able to make sure that he doesn't have a lot of angles to move out of safely. And when he does poke out, they're ready to punish. And it seems like Ninu has picked up a lot of the slack. This is why I consider Ninu such a good player, because he's able to switch off of blasters and play stuff like this at a really high level, like a take over the game level. And that's not what every blaster player is able to do. And wow, Sheepa, can you miss an overpower? This guy's hit everything.
Actually, I want to point out how, Sheepa does get caught out. Did you see what Simpsy did there too? He was hugging the top while Sheepa was looking for the overpower. As soon as Sheepa said, I guess I'll go for this person, just came straight down on his head and got the trade. And I think that actually really helps him out, even if he lost his life for it.
And you know, it seems to be the case, but you cannot win a game that way very successfully, or at least very convincingly, if you keep trading your life. Drogos has to find these 2-for-1 trades. He's got to be able to commit enough damage. Let's see where the damage charts have actually landed Simsaloo here. He was very low trying to catch up, and he's still in that position under the Ruckus, under the Khan, under the Barrack. Obviously, these tanks are going to stay alive a little longer, not the priority for anyone to kill immediately, and so that could be why that's tilting that way, but still, you would expect a little more, because he is so lethal when those rockets land.
Yeah, when you have a Drogos on a map like this, I mean, a map like this is a little harder than some others because of the ability to hide in the rooms, but on the defenses, it's pretty open. There is a lot of free spam he can get, and I think this is where he's been doing the most. But on the mids, it's been very difficult because Sour Team has been holding very close, denying fire spits on the way in, giving the mark to him when he was coming from the far side, so he couldn't do anything. Even spending overpowers on him too, because they know if they get rid of the Drogos, then they can move in the open for free, and denying that is a big part of Penta's strategy.
Well, part of it is that maybe in that first round instead, when the scout goes out, they know he's rotating, because he tried to get aggressive there. He played very passive round 1. Round 2, he tried to get aggressive, but he got scouted out, then he got marked up by Tyra. Maybe there's an opportunity for him to just be a little bit more patient, but once those key cooldowns are used, then to start trying to make his move. I think Simsy will figure it out. It seems to be a 2-2 situation here. So both teams are going to get another crack at this one. And I feel like they've both started to learn a little bit more about how their lineups are working. Ninu not quite having the surprise factor anymore, but still very effective for not a traditional hit scan character in this meta.
I want to give a little bit of credit quick to Bolka, too. I think almost all of his beams have been connecting, minus that very, very
That was
first
Simsy's
one.
fault.
That was. I think almost all of Bolka's beams have been connecting, and with a beam Furia, if you manage to make that work, that's what makes Furia such a good character.
Yeah.
You know, Cherish was being ran for a while just for the range shields and the damage boost, but if you can get value out of the Soil Blessing too, I mean, it makes her even better than she already was, and she was already good.
Yeah. I mean, do you really need the range here on Jag Falls? It's not really impactful. So.
I saw people running it on ice mines, and I was about to flip a table.
Yeah. I mean, there's maybe even like only one point you could take advantage of. Not even the... It doesn't even make make much sense. But, you know, people love the meta. Look at that. Sheepa already knows where he's at. He's going to go for it. He misses. Oh, my God. Sheepa misses the first overpower in the game. It was a gamble. We all saw it. We knew it. And Sheepa, maybe just a little too late on the hesitation, doesn't quite grab the dragon. This is go time for Penta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa!
Penta settling up, but the time bomb, the poison bolts from Ninu managed to pick off the Ruckus. The time bomb caught Simsaloo on the ground. He couldn't get away in time, but the sustain from the Fury of Me might just be enough to stop the pressure. Ninu dying. By the way, real quick, everybody on Penta has Illuminate. I saw that during the mid time. Yeah, even Simsaloo, the person in the skybox.
Sky's not going to get up there, but hey, I like that you're playing it safe, buddy. But Erase with a huge kill after Ninu finds 2, disengaged out into the water, and that's not what he was counting on. So that's a big pickup that has now shifted things continually in the favor of Penta, even after Sour Team have counterattacked. No ults on either side, and the scout is up. Dragon Punch just used, but he's just going to rewind it and make sure that he stays alive, retaining 30% of that at 72% and counting now on the objective for Penta.
Yeah, minus Sour Team's resets on the Barrack. They don't really have a great touch. Looks like he does manage to get in free. Can he get away?
Overpower
no.
in
the
4%.
Chase from Simsy comes in, traded out by Perdo. Perdo, they have really good positioning in the sun side. They're getting a lot of damage on point. Accenture has to hide. Can't even go through the Solar Blessing. The damage coming in too. Cruncy, they're trading out all the tanks. The damage is just too much with a double boost. They can't even, they're burning through the Solar Blessing. They can't live even with that much healing. 3,000 with 6,000 health per second, right?
And there it is. Furia goes into the Inflame, trying to finish it off. A good salvo, Fire Spit, but it's not enough, Krez. The overpower is available now, and so this is going to be very, very bad. Sheepa hasn't even used it. Sour Team felt confident throughout all of it to just go with the guns, and they end up getting the shots that count. 221 now on their push. They could win this game and keep this set interesting, and they've got some resources on the push to utilize. This is big for Sour Team.
Yeah, Sour Team have so many ultimates to use. They have to be smart, though. They don't know if they need to use them yet. Trading, actually,
Time bomb again?
It charges so fast. It charges so fast. A little bit of a prayer of it through time and space there, but didn't really need to be used. They still got the trade thanks to Ninu flanking from the side. Can they burn through the Solar Blessing here again?
Baby.
No. He had to reload. Not enough to crepify.
Yeah,
if I do say so myself.
If I do say so myself, young chaplain. I think, you know, Sour Team have found such a nice rhythm in this lineup to where, yes, Penta are using resources to counter out Ninu, but Ninu's still finding effectiveness in different ways. He's transitioned into more of this time bomb kind of setup, kind of like big burst, and you know where I'm coming from, but you don't know where my ult is going to be and when it is going to arrive. And that's made enough of a difference. He's doing his job.
I think he's doing what you have to do in late game as a Sky. I think a lot of Skies kind of underutilize the time bomb. I don't know if they work on positioning it really, really well. Just bringing up like checkmate situations. And picking this into the Ruckus with a Tyra is really just, it's making it so hard for Cruncy. The fact that Cruncy's doing anything, honest to God, is impressive.
Great shots as well coming through from Erase. He has been on point. That disengage was really the key. That actually even gave Penta a chance after Ninu had counterattacked with that double kill over in the corner, but it was not enough. Penta will have to settle with their streaks, with their zone here, which is quite offensive at the moment, 50 seconds left, and with the hope that another round will yield a different result as they are trying to close out this set 3-0 and claim the #1 seed heading into this next 2 days filled with teams that are eagerly watching and eagerly awaiting to try their hand at these two competitors.
Yeah, Penta disengaging a little bit. I kind of wish they had stayed with it, but I understand why you get rid of an aggressive defense on this map, because it's so easy to get flanked around and surrounded. They could just wrap you on one side, because if you're split, they send 5 one way, get a pick, and then suddenly you're being staggered and you're in a worse position.
Yeah.
Time bomb coming in from Ninu, getting a bit, just denying them some time on there. He knows he can charge it again. What, 20 seconds? That's enough for like 3?
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, with how fast he's been charging it.
Absolutely. This man has not been slowing down whatsoever, already 15% back. And not even in the fight yet again. He just does so much damage, and that is how ultimates charge. By the amount of damage you do, there's a multiplier. And Sky, she just does so much damage. Who cares about the multiplier? It could be 0.001, and she would get there with no time. Dragon Punch here. It's going to be Battle Shout immune, but he's going to get back in time and in safety thanks enough to that little cubby there. And find Sheepa and Ninu and Perdo. So this overtime, it's over in no time. And it will be one more round to determine who wins this.
Honestly, Sour Team's probably not too torn up about that, because Penta had 5 ultimates, Sour Team had 4. They made Penta spend 1.
Yeah.
That's a win almost going into a mid-fight, especially a Dragon.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's a good trade. Little barter system. I'll give you your time bomb for my Dragon Punch, sir.
Yeah, you know. We'll see who can charge it faster. Typically, it's...
Why did you go New York with me?
You know what?
I mean, like, I'm from Long Island, but I'm not that Long Island.
You're just such a New Yorker, Bobby. You know?
But if I put a my New York accent, I'm gonna start swearing because it's just so
well, don't do
in my
that
blood.
now. We got the kids watching.
Yeah,
right?
I know. That's the problem.
Hey, what's the matter with you?
I almost did it right there.
What's the matter with you?
I almost did it right
we
there.
got kids watching this. You even gonna mention swearing?
It said
Come on.
that your New York accent's better than mine when I'm from New York.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Just watched Goodfellas the other day, so you know.
That's probably why.
That's why.
Nino actually dying a lot.
Tony, two times.
Nino's actually dying a lot, but that's not too surprising for this guy. I mean, he's not hoping to get in and live. He's hoping to get in, get an absurd amount of damage, and then hope his team can clean up on the rest of it.
Well, it's interesting here. Everyone's got a different approach. Look at Simsy in the back line. He's staying high. That's where he was round 1. No Hunter's Mark onto him. It goes to Accenture, and now he's just prodding and poking. Nino making a rotation far left. The Sky trying to make a big play. The overpower is there. Does it whiff? It does. Oh, no. Sheepa, he's lost a crucial resource, and now through time and space trying to find a little bit of damage, but it's not enough. Nothing comes from it. Perdo finally able to get a kill onto the Cassie, but a huge beam keeps Accenture in the fight.
But it's not enough. I mean, the damage is coming through. He's going to get melted. It's only Bolko alive. Sour Team just mops the floor with them. That was such a solid rotation from him, I think, through the inside. The ultimates used. Erase, I think, got a little too aggressive. He went in, and then his somersault, like, when you roll out as Cassie, you either want to roll immediately to safety or like out a distance enough where your somersault will save you. And he had to roll into the core of their entire team. But now looking at this zone here, Nino holding the right side. He's probably going to time bomb and Jag, forcing them in, which is going to force them to some damage. They're going to disengage instead, actually. Yeah, Inara got to the point. Looks like the damage in main from Sims to force them off. But since everyone was zoned out, they couldn't support Accentra. Gets burned down immediately by Nino. Khan getting some cap time, but he's not really that much of a main tank when that much damage is coming in.
Simsy has to stay alive. They're trying to just ward this out. Sheepa, he misses again. Are you kidding me? It doesn't matter. But Sour Team win. I can't believe it. 2 miss ults from Sheepa, and Sour Team still win. Game 3 to keep it alive. We're not done yet. Bathroom break for the boys. They've got more playing to do, and they will do it against the competitors here in the finals. They're former, well, I guess friends from the minor league now.
I hope they're still friends.
I hope they're still friends as well, but I was going to say former just competitors in the minor league now competing here in the MSI. It's just interesting to see how things can go wrong and still go right for the squad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're just Sour Team's positioning rotations again were on point basically the entire game.
Unbelievable.
It was so good, and those ults were all intimidation.
Yeah,
they didn't want to peek.
Yeah,
no. that's really what it was. Honestly, I'm saving Sheepa.
Who got grabbed? They're all like, who got grabbed? Who got grabbed? Nobody got grabbed.
Go. That was the whole play. But no, seriously, just the point pressure they had, the ability to keep their tire from getting pressured.
Yeah,
so clean from Sour Team all the way through.
Super fun, man. Well, game 4, it's coming up soon, so let's send it back to the desk. Get us ready for some more action.
Appreciate it, fellas. No 3-0 for Penta this time around. Not something any of the other 2 teams that face them this weekend can say. And now we got a competitive set. I was a little nervous that we were going to see a 3-0 despite all of the individual games themselves being so close. But Sour Team, what a fight back. They built so many Illuminates on the side of Penta to try to deal with Ninu, Perdo as well, 149,000 damage.
Wow.
But Simsaloo could just not get comfortable this game.
No, I don't think anyone that's really picked Jaguar Falls today has really done it in the best of situations for them. It's maybe sleeping a little bit, and Ninu on the Sky overperforming, I think, what we would have expected. Simsaloo underperforming on the Drogos. When he picked it, there was already 3 hit scans on the board for Sour Team. Not the best recipe for success. They pick a 4th hit scan in the Sky, and it just does so much to increase your lethality. This is a character that blows up everybody in the game at the cost of having basically no mobility. You can see that 5-point card in Ninu's loadout. That's Victory Rush 5. We saw it yesterday on Frozen Guard when he really got rolling with those killing blows, man. Didn't matter that Sky had no ability. He's moving around at 50% movement speed. Doesn't matter getting in and out of whatever fight he wants to be a part of or not be a part of for that matter.
I think the difference maker in this game is Perdo. I mean, of course, Sky 23 kills, keeping up with Erase on the opposite side. But when Simsaloo is having a tough game, you need your second flex to step up and outperform Simsaloo, and in this case, Perdo does just that, 149,000 damage. That's good for top in the game. And it's not just, of course, the damage. It's the utility that Tyra brings, the hunting party marks, whatever it may be. Perdo really rose up in this occasion, put Sour Team at an advantage, and that allowed them to win. And it seemed like this final team fight was going to go the way of Penta, but some smart plays, even with some ultimates getting missed in between. Sour Team, they come out on top. Ninu with the opening kill there. But a very close one, and Purdue really rose to the occasion in this one.
That time bomb keeps Furia, Ruckus, and Cassie zoned away from that point. And you could see it was just barely enough time. The second Inara went down, the wall fell, Hunter's Mark goes up, and they burn through that champion right as the reinforcements, the cavalry is arriving. The beam was not enough. There was not enough healing. It was really, really close margins there, but the Sky played beautifully. They mentioned how many time bombs she was able to get off. Nutty stuff from Ninu.
And I think what's important here to look at is that's the first game in this set that Sour Team, I mentioned it going into picks and bans and during picks and bans as well, but that's the first time they haven't gone triple DPS in this set. Still a little bit of cheekiness with the Sky double damage amp with the Genos and the Tyra across the board, so still a little bit of cheekiness in their picks, but going back to a more standard couple tanks, 2 damage dealers, some healing as well, and they played them just as close and then some. They came out on top on this one, so showing that, still in just sort of standard picks and bans, they can come out on top.
And Sky's not even really what I was thinking about in this situation. I think it just comes down to Ninu is comfortable on the character, man.
Yeah.
Ruckus is starting to poke his head out. That's a good matchup. It's so tough because he's so immobile and so big, and you really have to just have knowledge of how much you can absorb with your cooldowns when you go in as the Ruckus, because standing still against, Tyra Sky with the hunting party out is not a good idea. So K-Currency has his work cut out for him if he wants to keep going back to that character. Ninu may be toying with the idea of swapping to the controller for the last game just to really keep Penta on their toes.
He hasn't been playing on controller this whole time, has he?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Word on the street is he has.
Oh.
To really channel his inner console, he wanted to pick the Sky and he wanted to play on controller.
Well, controllers, we thought they were out of the tournament, but apparently still around. A controller getting plugged in here this time. Sour Team striking back in game number 3. And this is it's an interesting position now that Penta are in, because they're still in the driver's seat. 2-1 is still my favorite scoreline, even if it's in a 5-game set, because obviously moving on would be Penta winning if they win this next game, and then they would go against Na'Vi in that case. And we were sort of talking about this offhand on the desk. Is like, I don't know. Okay, so he is just trolling the controller. Is not a thing. The problem is I saw the cord and I was like, oh, it must be plugged into something. He's not just playing around with a plugged-in controller. But no, he is on mouse and keyboard.
It's like when you let your little brother play with you. You
That's right. You give him the cord, but it's not plugged in.
So great, man. Keep it up, bro.
Same idea. Not playing on the controller, though.
Shout outs to Dom out there. He's just like, wait,
Dom does.
What do you mean?
That's why you're the superior gamer in the Keo family. Jaguar Falls goes the way of Sour Team. Bizarre map number 4 this time around. And we were kind of talking about this offhand as like, obviously both of these teams want to win the play-in bracket. If nothing else, it's for bragging rights. But I don't know if you're like super sad if you end up losing this finals. I mean, NIP they're the top team in the PPL for a reason. They're going to be one of the hardest teams you play against in this tournament. But Na'Vi as well. I mean, they're playing like a well-oiled machine. I don't think either of these teams are going to be sad necessarily if they go up against NIP versus Na'Vi. I think this is purely just a we won the play-in bracket type of game, because waiting for you on either end of that one is a very difficult team. It's not like there's an inherent huge advantage for finishing in first, at least in my opinion.
Personally, I would like to see Sour Team versus NIP because of all the history there, and they've been playing more 3DPS, more aggressive stuff, which is not only kind of more fun to play given the matchup with NIP, that NIP like to do that stuff as well. They like to play fast. They like to play loose. Lots of damage dealers. 3DPS is not something they would be afraid to run in kind, so I think you would just get a better matchup overall.
Sure.
But I think Penta, for all of the same reasons, match up a little bit better and run similar styles to Na'Vi.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to see those styles clash and those drafts really overlap heavily with each other. When two teams draft completely different styles and they're not after each other's picks, it's like everybody just kind of gets everything they want and there's really nothing to comment on in the draft.
Well, if Game 5 goes the way of Penta, you'll get what you want. They will go down to face Na'Vi. Sour Team then would get NIP if Game 5 goes the way of Penta. The Furia ban from Sour Team opens up Makoa in an instant lock for Penta. Answered back with the Con Cassie from Sour Team. So big game Cassie will be able to deal with that Makoa just a little bit better. But still, you're playing against a Makoa. That's never fun.
All the damage amp has banned out. Everybody's off the table.
That's a good point.
That's pretty much what Sour Team have been leaning on this entire set. Penta realize it, Penta get rid of it, or they just say, you know, let's just see what happens when we take away this leg for you to stand on. What else you got in the tank? So far, so good. I will say nobody's really been able to beat or handle Makoa very appropriately. Multiple different things have been tried. Con Atlas, this will be Con Cassie. Again, there's a lot of good stuff to deal with it on paper. It's just about executing it in practice.
There's still so much that you can go if you're Sour Team here. Torvald is up if you want to go there. Damba, of course, then you look at the healing with Furia Band out. They pick Ying. I imagine they'll go Damba. He's just been the priority for a lot of healers. But, you know, if they don't want to go that direction, then, I mean, I don't know. You look at a Saris or something at that point. I mean, that's a different road to travel down. Damba's still maybe the priority here for Sour Team. What they pair with this Con and Cassie, though, I think is very important. Torvald, interestingly enough, not banned, but also not picked through the first 5 picks here. Damba is going to end up being the healer here for Sour Team. With 2 picks left, they'll, of course, be able to leave that last pick open to a flex, and it will be the Torvald. Get some extra bubbles there on that Cassie.
7th pick. Eevee's available. Maeve still up.
Yep.
Such a good part about Cassie is she's so flexible. You know, multiple people, I think, on Sour Team would be comfortable, whether it's Perdo, whether it's Nina. Hell, if it's got to be Sheepa, it's got to be Sheepa if it comes to that. He's very likely, I think, to pair with Perdo. It's just about what Ninu wants. Eevee, like I said, still available. Hell, Sky is still available. I have no data, no opinion on her on Bazaar. At the moment, it's looking like it could be good on paper to be able to chew through this Vivian and Makoa quickly, but that man right there still needs his pick. Willoughby hasn't played a lot of Eevee this set, to be honest. True. This tournament, period. So I don't know if that'd be a bad place to go or if it's just too late for him to want to pull that out. It feels like he wouldn't be in the rhythm.
I mean, it's a very specific scenario, but vertical mobility on Bazaar specifically is kind of an important thing to look at. I mean, you talk, you know, again, it's very specific. You look at Random Noob, he was playing, maybe it was the Eevee or the Maeve, he was able to back cap. I mean, that doesn't happen all that often. But being able to get over those walls in some of those final team fights, add one more lane to wrap around the defending team if you're pushing, just adds so much. It is going to be the Drogos, but it looks like maybe a frontline advantage goes the way of Penta. I don't know if Sour Team are going to be able to bully them out.
Big time. I mean, you got big game Cassie, you got Dragon Punch, 2 ways to deal with Makoa.
You're right.
No way to throw to instigate with an overpower. That's the one thing you got to be worried about. You got to hit these overpowers still, but you aren't going to be able to instigate them via the map.
Well, are Penta going to take game number 5? I should say, I almost said 6. Game 5 and win this one 3-1? Or is Sour Team going to continue on their reverse sweep tear? Let's send it down to Evan and Kresnik to find out.
Well, it is game number 4.
It is.
Just to correct Dave there, but he was very close in terms of the impact of the stakes here because there is almost a game 5 nature to it. It is a do or die game for Sour Team only. Penta get a chance to mess up one more time. Sour Team, though, been the one messing up and being fine. It feels like maybe a little bit of luck is on their side here.
Yeah, I mean, the draft kind of helped them out a lot. I mean, they made a few mistakes last game. Their draft was so good. Their positioning was so good around that. They still had the chance no matter what mistakes they made in that situation.
So how do you feel about the 4th pick Torvald? I know you mentioned that out loud when you saw it, and obviously the Makoa, he's either hoping he underperforms or they just beat you. Do you still feel the same way with this lineup?
Now that I'm seeing that he's on half shell, I actually like Penta's lineup a little bit more because they can kind of shield out all the damage. Once Wrecker's online, he'll just get constant shielding. Wrecker's going to be so crucial. It's basically 4 shield tanks now in the game, so we'll have to see how either team adapts to that.
Actually, a huge fan of what Ninu's running in the Drogos on this map. One of my favorite characters, obviously in the game, but just on this map, I find that he utilizes height so well. Problem is, though, they're losing the ground fight just a little bit, or maybe that's the plan to make them think so. Sheepa just finally goes down, but Accentra fell first. Cruncy now on the Makoa, able to start rampaging a little bit.
Accentra dying there, but it made a lot of room. I mean, they managed to get that pick. Simslu getting picked out by Perdo, trying to get a little overzealous, I think, under. Cruncy making room on point with his half shell, but Ninu's just going to keep raining down, and if he can stay out of the Vivian's line of sight, there's really no way to stop him.
Yeah.
Bolt tanks back now, poking us the Con. There's a lot of room you can kite on the point because of the statue. It really makes it so like almost any tank can contest on this point, but not if you're taking that much damage from the sky. Enemy AC 130 above. Ninu is here, and he is barely missing those shots onto the Maeve.
Oh, and she's almost down, and she's down. Perdo finds it up, finds it out. Sends her back to base. Big fire spit there. Will take down the Ying a little bit to where she doesn't feel comfortable getting back on point. The illusion's not going to do it by itself. Sour Team now in control. And this is what I love about the Strogos. He can play these roofs. 11:05 there, thanks to the Torvald bubble. So much damage, so much pressure from the Dragon.
Yeah, once Wrecker's online, though, Torvald falls off harder than a lot of other tanks. And Khan especially has a lot of struggle against Wrecker.
Good dismount.
Wow. Okay, good find on that one, Perdo. Wow. Must have seen a little horsetail or something.
Something.
Out.
Heard a little neigh.
Yeah, especially with the Vivian, too, is going to make the Wrecker even better. Look at this. They managed to basically trade kills with the execution ults, but Jopi finds Accentra on the other side. Race really can't do too much here unless he just manages to find a kill, but he can't burn through the sustain with the Wrecker he has.
And he's got the ult. The Sentinels come out to play. But so, Ninu backs off, and he's still been alive. He's here hanging out up in the sky, using that pillar really, really well to give him some safety, but erases him from the conversation. Double kill. Commander's grab, though, probably going to kill him off here. What can they do now that that damage dealer is off the table?
Both tanks are still alive, though. And
big stun!
The stun comes in, half shell. You can't get CC immune. That's why everyone runs Leviathan. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're still going to confirm the kill no matter what. Torvald bubble actually keeping Serini alive. Can he rotate for the retouch?
Body block!
He has time. What a body block, but he touches with the very, very edge of his toe. A little bit in the water, like photo finish there for that overtime, honestly.
Cannot wait to get back on there, and somehow this has turned the tide. Perdo is back. He is swinging through. The half shell. Could it have been the crucial mistake or the crucial saving grace as it buys time and space for Arrays to clean up? Not one, not two, but three. Get over here, Makoa says, and they finish off the Dragon in the skies. They clip his wings, and that is Penta grabbing point one.
What phenomenal ultimate usage and kiting there. That Dread Serpent was so unfortunate. It actually, if the Khan had lived for like one more second, that would have confirmed the kill. 100%, I think.
It was
Makoa
like
was so low.
It was, you know, a game of inches, but really a game of toes at that point. I mean, he was towed back and forth thanks to the dredge anchor from Makoa. That was what sealed the deal onto Ninu, but it was also the toes of Khan that were able to reset that overtime, even make it possible, because really there was a moment where that started to shift heavily in the favor of Penta, and it was like Sour Team fighting back really for most of that.
Yeah, and I think Ying is also showing her value here too. Not picked all the time, mostly picked as a replacement, but the amount of sustain that they were able to gain from Ying being alive, from her poke, I mean, out healing Damba by 11k, not too surprising this early of the game, but as the game builds up, as people like get uncaughted and get burst healed by the Ying, I mean, it's gonna add up as time goes on. So close to an illusion block.
Tried to. You saw it. Yeah.
I saw it at the last second. I think
tried.
he was waiting for a cooldown. But man, what is it with Bizarre and having these amazing maps?
Amazing fights. We remember just how contested it can be on these areas. I think Bizarre, you know, because it was such a long test map, this is really the vibe you get when you play it. It's one of those maps that last a long time, 20, 25 plus minute games, and they do not want to let Accentra go back to base.
That was like a 20-second stagger.
A really good stagger.
That was fantastic. And that's one of the things that you have to do at this level of gameplay. You know,
you have to.
You
buy
any second you can.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any second you get is a win. At this point, no matter what side you're on, you're playing for time.
Little wins here, little wins there, turned into big victories later on. And Sour Team know that they've got to play this picture perfect against Penta. They already messed up a little bit on that first fight. Ninu couldn't get going. Arrays had way too many double, triple kill moments, and they have to shut that down. And that's been the thing with Bizarre. There have been certain champions that have been able to play that background so safely. They've just taken control of the fight, and there it is. Dread Serpent taking him out of the Ancient Rage yet again. You see how unimpactful that ultimate is when it can be CC'd.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, later, it's going to just help him stay alive. That's all it really needs to do, more than less. Arrays had pretty okay positioning at the start, but once the fight evolved to the cart, his rotation didn't buy them enough time. Looks like they want to really convert this, though. The Dome Shield from Accentra. I think they might be able to get the kills if Arrays rotates back in, but looks like he was just too far away to help.
Yeah.
Hopefully he didn't recommit. Okay, he didn't recommit. That's good for him. If he had recommitted, he would have died there, but there's not enough time to convert this anyway at this point.
And the problem with Sheepa was just undeterred. He was able to throw bubbles out to everybody, even if there was just one other person. Fighting with a Torvald bubble plus Torvald against that other person, it's not a fair 2v2. That's like a bar fight, but somebody has a chair and you've, you know, got your hands. So
you got
it's just
like
not
an
going to
8
work
ball
out.
from the pool table
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. Maybe if you could throw it hard enough and accurate enough, but chair usually wins out.
It looked like just a miscommunication, because I think if Arrays was still in, then Torvald wouldn't have done quite as much, because I'm sure Arrays went Wrecker. That's kind of the Vivian MO in this matchup, to run Wrecker in this situation. Yeah. And if he had that, if that Wrecker damage was there, I think they could have done it. I mean, I think the Makoa had enough sustain left. Both tanks together had enough sustain left. Yeah, Arrays, Wrecker 2, Cauterize 2. They had the Wrecker from Cruncy, but it's too inconsistent. Makoa just shoots too slow to deal with a Torvald that consistently.
Well, Ninu now is able to really kind of start to way down on Arrays' shields, and that just buys her a couple of seconds, but that's the window, and that's the window where she may be vulnerable. Early overpower? Missed. Unlucky there again. That seems to be the theme for a lot of the cons. And look at this, Arrays. He just does so much damage. The opportunity and chaos certainly being found by the DPS.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's Vivian's that's why it's one of her best legendaries. I mean, some people are kind of flirting with the idea of booby trap, but when you are uncontested, when you're against those tanks, I mean, Khan, Torvald, Cassie Drogos, that's kind of a pokey, passive. Khan can push, but not into an opportunity in chaos. Vivian.
No.
When she's uncontested, her damage is just absolutely unparalleled.
And Penta are in a great spot right here. Dragon Punch is going to create a zone, and they're either going to take a kill or they're all going to back off. Maybe it's both, because he does get the kill, but he trades his life. Objective captured anyways. That zone was good enough, and that is Penta taking point 2.
Yeah, they committed to the kill a little bit more than the point change. If Ninu had even just given up the kill, maybe swooped into the point, swooped straight vertical.
You're right.
Might not have lived too long, but at the very least given his team a fighting chance, but as now they're on the back foot.
And this is amazing. This is Penta with Accentra. We have to talk about this. This is not Ovum, who Accentra doing a fantastic job. You don't really notice the difference, but I mean, Ovum is a very land-tested, very just high-level player that you would assume would, of course, make this team even better. And so that is a real confidence boost for them, knowing that with Accentra in this moment, they're still performing lights out the way they would want to. Sour Team getting dropped yet again.
Remember here,
wipe.
They had a lot of trust in Accentra. I mean, again, Accentra was on when
He's
before,
been
before
around
this
for a
team,
while too.
Before this team was Clown Fiesta. I mean, he was on Clown Fiesta before this. I believe before this PML split. I'm not as good at my EU PML history, but I know he's been part of them for a long time, and he's on his main role. And I remember hearing that they had a lot of trust in him going into this.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and I think he's performing.
Performing really well.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You don't really notice any dip at all, and that's all you can expect, especially when you're just dealing with a sub. Nice overpower there. Again, is that going to whiff? Unbelievable stuff from Sour Team. You just cannot buy an overpower. And that's been the theme today. A lot of cons pick just not able to execute on that ult.
There's a lot of shields in the way, too. Just if they try to do
That's
anything.
part of it.
Actually, great hook on the con, getting the execution here. It's 4 versus 3 right now, and the Cassie's low. Torvald has to come in, but Torvald is not really a living tank. He's kind of a help the rest of the team live tank, but he's not getting focused down fast enough.
Wow.
Barrack, though, with the confirms Bolka's damage coming in. That actually just getting buffed next patch, so might have ended a little faster next. But for now, the Ying gets her little tickle beam and gets a finish to get the catch.
That was really impressive target prioritization, because it was so easy to go and target swap onto the Cassie. But you know, if you fight Cassie, she's just going to get bubbled, and she's going to be it's kind of like the never-ending story there. That's incredible how Ninu died. Simsaloo playing just so well. Even gets the second bounce after the little hop skip up in the air, and is able to go ahead and start getting to the back line. But, you know, the ability for them to target swap that way, that's part of what I like. I mean, 3-1, this could be it. They could be sending Sour Team home and moving, not home essentially, but into the second seed here, retaining that first seed for Europe PML.
Yeah, I don't know about the Drogo's pick now. I mean, conceptually it's good on this map, but into Vivian Maeve, I mean, we just saw there, like, even when a Maeve doesn't pop off like that, she's still chipping you constantly. She can still run away from your things. It's still a really solid counter. She can even midnight your Dragon Punch.
Yeah, you're actually right. I like Drogos in a vacuum, but against these two, especially when they are playing as well as they're playing, it's super hard to execute. So we'll see if he can change it up.
Array's actually holding back here on the left. Pretty standard positioning for him with the Ying illusion. Might get a little bit aggressive here, but his tanks aren't there to follow up. Might gonna move in up. Now the Cruncy's here. He's gonna walk right in, gets a little reveal. Doesn't help him follow up on the hook. Zarini actually might be able to get out because of that, but it looks like Simpsy's following too. Illusory Rift is sustained. I just want to point out, no one on Tower Team has touched point.
Are you
and they're
kidding
too
me?
far away. The Dragon Punch has to come in to touch.
They're gonna lose without
burn it
touching.
away. Barely made it. That's what he had to do last time, but it's probably a little bit too little, too late. Perdo's going to get traded out here, and it looks like that's it for Penta Team. They're going to move on, most likely to play against NIP.
Can't believe
Navi. Navi. They win Navi.
You know what? Again. All the particulars don't really matter here. They seal it up 4 to, what was that, 0? Was that 4-0?
That last, no, 4-1.
4-1 total.
One of the mids.
And for, you know, the ability to get a 3-1 win here against Sour Team. 4-1 in the game. Incredible showcase. Sour Team just clearly didn't have it in that last one. Whatever it was, wasn't working. It didn't feel like they could really do the full reverse sweep that they would need to 2 games in a row. And so, unfortunately, they will be taking the second seed, but they're not going home. These two teams have already qualified for the next 2 days. So, kind of go back to the drawing board, see what went right, see what went wrong. And obviously, your last thoughts, Kresnik, before we head back to the desk on this set and, of course, the play-in brackets.
I think Sour just lost in draft there. I mean, a lot of their picks were conceptual, but just having a kind of a defensive pokey comp with the Torv, damage boost to get the picks, but then against a Vivian, Maeve, characters who have DR can run away, just couldn't work out.
Well, it's been a great run here for the play-in bracket. We see the two teams that have made it, and we see the team that's come out as the number 1 seed. It's Penta, as a lot of us assumed. Let's send it back to the desk, get a little bit of a break and thoughts with them, and then we'll interview the winners.
Thank you, guys. Game 4, I can do basic math, I promise, goes the way of Penta in this one, and they win the finals bracket, and they win a trip to go face Na'Vi tomorrow as the 2nd seed in the PPL. Of course, that means Sour Team going against NIP in our finals bracket tomorrow. But we look back at this final game. Do you agree sort of with what Kresnik was saying, that honestly in drafts, Penta just put themselves at too much of an advantage?
I don't know if I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think a lot of good hooks. Again, K-Cruncy on Makoa today has been lights out. Everybody that got hooked, especially in the later game when Wrecker 3 was online, was basically dead to Erase before they got unCC'd. I don't think that Torvald was overly impactful as well.
Yep.
It's a little bit reminiscent of last game where each team took a little bit of a risk, and I wouldn't call Makoa a risk. If anything, Vivian is a little bit more of the risky pick there, something that's not widely as seen. But one thing paid off for Penta, and the other thing didn't pay off for Sour Team. Last game, the Jorgos did not pay off for Sour Team, or for Penta, but the Sky did for Sour Team. It's just kind of that, but in reverse this time around. Oof.
We've seen a few times where the Makoa gets through and the team just doesn't perform up to that standard, but that was not Cruncy this time around. The hooks were good, the shots were good, and the Ancient Leviathan really controlled this one. I mean, his slash line wasn't even that absurd. I mean, he had honestly kind of a bad slash line if you look at it just at face value, but what he brought to the table, the spatial awareness, just pressure. I mean, it's such a buzzword in this current meta. Just good micro play here and there, and that gave Penta the opportunity to win it, and they take full advantage and they win this one 4-1. So I mean, they win the whole set 3-1. They win this game 4-1. Technically speaking, closer than any of the sets that they had prior to this point. E-Ray's really firing on all cylinders as well. This Penta team, they're a force to be reckoned with.
They certainly are, and that Vivian never really saw a ton of pressure, nothing really to throw her off balance. 16 and something single digits in the death column there. Huge numbers putting up, getting to Wrecker 3 very early on. You saw so many people being slain off the back of those dredge anchors, but against a double shielding composition like the one he went up against, that was kind of what put the nail in the coffin there. So difficult for Khan and for Torvald, who are already not really point tanks, to try and fight into a Wrecker 3 Vivian. I mean, that is just a tall task. Yeah. You can do it, but the point is you cannot do it for very long at all. Penta or Sour Team had to come in there and get things done quickly.
And looking back at what we had here in the play-in bracket, let's relive the last couple of days. Day 1, a bunch of 3-0s. A 3-2 goes the way of Hype Unit in the quarterfinals. Sour Team, Sanguine, Hype Unit, Penta, both of those 3-0s. And then, of course, this one goes 3-1 in favor of Penta. And one thing that I sort of noticed is, Simsaloo has kind of been that name that flies out when even in just the minor league. Simsy goes big, X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be. But Erase had a huge couple of days here, and he really proved that his name is in that conversation just as well. The rest of the team opens up that space, and nobody needs to be left out of that conversation. Of course, here's how your finals bracket looks. We will commence play 11 a.m. tomorrow, starting up top, NIP Sour Team, and then we'll move down the bracket from there. Of course, some great matchups to be had. I'm really excited to see some of those games. I mean, the PPL as a whole has been so competitive up to this point this year. So some of those matchups are just so hard to predict.
You're spoiled. You get no blowouts in the PPL, man. We had to deal with 2 competitive teams per region at most in the past, but you're right. It's been an absolute treat. All of these teams absolutely earned their spot. There's a lot of good things to be said about all of them. And even these first-round matchups with some of these minor league teams, man, we've seen Penta's looking very scary, and the reputation is that, if you slip up against them, they will take games, they will take maps, maybe even sets off of some of these PPL squads.
Well, we do have a post-game interview standing by with a couple of the guys from Penta, but stick around afterwards. We're going to take a quick break. 5-6 minutes plus or minus 1 minute. We're going to do a post-play-in bracket esports weekly roundtable, talk about all that we saw over the last couple of days. So you want to stick around, stream will stay up. Just put up a quick wait screen while we get everything put together. But before that, let's jump to an interview with the winners.
All right, guys. Congratulations on the victory. Incredible play. And I want to hear from both of you in your own words. Obviously, we've seen you dominate in many different ways throughout the PML and now here on land versus some of the similar opponents. If the people at home are trying to understand more about you and your style and what makes you tick, how would you characterize yourselves? What would you say your play style is? What's your strength? What are you about?
Well, we sandwich really well. Like, when we're playing really aggressive, it's really hard to stop crunch and nice coordination. We can be on the complete opposite side of the map and still end up looking at the same targets. I think that's our biggest strength as a team. And then we also have Mr. Young Fragger over here, Eraser, that just uses a lot of the space that we obtain for him. And we play off that
I think
really
we can
well.
just play a lot of things. We can play triple tank, we can play triple DPS, we can do any kind of comps, and we're just really prepared for the tournament. So,
All right. Simsy, after the second game, I believe, you were visibly shaking partially on camera. The camera did focus on it. I wanted to ask, are there any more nerves, particularly for this LAN compared to previous LANs like the PPL Fall Finals? And if so, why?
It's not really nerves, it's just more my wrist. I can only play so many EV games a day. That's why. So like when I play like 2 games of EV, it starts shaking really miserably, and then the third game it's just gone.
Interesting. I wonder how that will play out throughout this tournament, because there are a lot of games coming up potentially, especially if you get farther in. There's best of 7s as well. Gentlemen, to leave it off, I'll ask just whoever wants to answer this one. What is the expectation moving forward? What are you doing heading into tomorrow and the next day?
It's gonna be very tough tomorrow against Navi. Like, we kind of didn't want to play against NIP or Navi because we know each other fairly well. It's just kind of like pick your poison, at that point. You want NIP on the, left side, or you want a Navi on the right side.
Yeah.
And I think generally we have to catch off Navi, and they also have to have an off day for us to do really well. They're really, really scary right now.
but we can definitely do it. We can definitely do it.
Feeling confident.
That's easy for Penta.
They're an amazing team. A lot of respect to them, but I think we can match them.
All right. Well, obviously we see why you're feeling confident as well. Some amazing KDAs throughout the games, amazing play, and obviously the result you guys wanted. Good luck for the rest of the tournament. It gets even more serious here. That's going to do it for us at the MSI Day 2. We're going to sign off, but we've got Esports Weekly coming up right after this, so do not go anywhere for some more Paladins action. We'll be previewing the next couple of days and recapping what has happened. See you then.